Starting from traveling through Naruto, who says archers are weak. Chapter 1. The place where your brain is stored. Don't get too hung up on the timeline of Konoha, and look back carefully at Naruto Shippuden, the theatrical version, and even various volumes. You will find that Kishimoto's description of some timelines is actually very vague. Take a general look, there won't be too much difference. Blue Star, in an apartment in Jiangchuan City, China in 2026. A devil figure, with a high ponytail, a loose shirt on the upper body, and a pair of hot pants on the lower body. A pair of VR glasses covered most of the girl's face, revealing only a delicate nose and a small mouth. But this did not affect the judgment of the people around her at all. This is a top-notch beauty. At this time, this beauty is standing on a device similar to a treadmill, with her left and right hands open to make archery movements. Yes, this is our protagonist Jiang Chiyue. Half a year ago, Shuani Company released a reality simulation game, Divine Domain. And Shuani Company also announced that this game, in addition to the difference in its own VR equipment. There is no other recharge page, and it is guaranteed that there will be no Krypton Gold links in the future games. As soon as this news came out, coupled with a lot of publicity in the early stage, the game became famous all over the world before it was released. The R&D staff of foreign game companies were bald and bald again. And they still couldn't figure out how China, which had always been unknown in the game field, could suddenly rise up, overcome various difficulties in this future field project, and release the game in a hurry. These designers have seen the game's promotional video. But after watching it, one by one they said it was impossible. The bosses of various game companies have issued a death order, asking them to copy a game within a week. Even if it is a copy, they must copy a game. But the technical difficulties themselves have not been overcome, and the key data model is missing. Even if a knife is put to their necks and they are asked to copy, they can't copy it. Jiang Chiyue, as a true game enthusiast, is called a home girl. How could she miss this game? Don't underestimate our Jiang Chiyue, even though she is an orphan. But since she was old enough to understand, Jiang Chiyue has shown an IQ that surpasses everyone around her. Through free computer trials in various computer stores and books donated by various social leaders in the orphanage, Jiang Chiyue quickly learned all kinds of financial management and stock market knowledge with her superb IQ. Don't ask why there are books related to financial management and the stock market in the orphanage. How can the donations of the leaders be understood by us mortals? Then Jiang Chiyue lived a life of luxury and extravagance. Jiang Chiyue, who had a family fortune of tens of millions at the age of 12, dropped out of school and bought a single apartment after self-studying all the knowledge in college. Then she only left 1 million. The rest was anonymously donated to the orphanage that raised her since childhood. At this time, the Shinyu game ushered in the first event within half a year of opening. This event includes all types of competitive events in real life. Like Ozaki 8 events, Akina mountain racing, including various events in the Olympics. How to say it, there is nothing that Shinyu can't do except what you can't think of. Look, Jiang Chiyue is now participating in the archery competition. As a genius girl with an IQ of 100 higher than Einstein and an amazing 260 IQ, Jiang Chiyue soon passed the exciting preliminaries. Now she is only one step away from the championship. The virtual game arena accommodates nearly 10 million people in total. This makes Jiang Chiyue, who is a little socially anxious, call it worthy of your god realm. Who would have thought that just participating in a competition to win 500,000 gold coins in the game to buy a set of your favorite fashion? It would cause such a big impact. In fact, it is not Jiang Chiyue's fault. As a world-renowned game, from its release to now, this is no longer a simple competition between entertainment. It has long been upgraded to a struggle between countries. Although the road to the rise of God Realm is full of thorns, it finally stands out with the support of the giant country. Other countries, especially the United States, cannot impose sanctions. Finally, with the intervention of the United Nations, the first Divine Domain event was held as scheduled as the Olympics of the Internet world. Since it is the Olympics, competition between countries is inevitable. As the host of the first Internet Olympics, one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, if we cannot compete for the first place in the number of medals, it will be a big blow to the morale of the people. Now, China's number of gold medals is equal to that of the United States. The current archery event is the last event of this event. As long as we win the championship in July, China will win 116 gold medals. Impressive performance won the first place in the medal list. As the first to appear, Jiang Qiyue, the atmosphere in the venue reached its peak instantly. The whole audience shouted Jiang Qiyue's game ID Shintu. Jiang Qiyue was a little excited at this time. What should I do? The game started soon, and the rules of the game must be different from those in reality. In addition to the traditional number of rings, extra points were added. The entire target surface was divided more finely, no longer 10 rings and 9 rings in the area. For example, the concentric circle area of the 9 rings was also divided into the number of rings with the same decimal point. Hitting the center site within the 10 rings, the score was recorded as 10+. It can be said that the competition difficulty of the game was increased. The rules of the game are a total of 11 rounds, 2 arrows per round. The average score is finally taken to determine the winner. The opponent, the beautiful country, has completed it. The final score is 9.9 rings. There may be some mistakes in the middle due to too much pressure. But he quickly adjusted himself and finally got this amazing score of 9.9 rings. And Jiang Qiyue only had 1 round left. Jiang Qiyue came on stage and was cheered by the audience again. Because from the first round to now, Jiang Qiyue has not made any mistakes. It depends on this last round. As long as he doesn't make any mistakes, he will definitely be the champion. Jiang Qiyue silently raised his body, closed his eyes and slowly adjusted his breathing. The originally lively venue suddenly became quiet. The eyes of the whole audience were focused on this moment. Time passed slowly, and there were only 10 seconds left before the end of a round of shooting. But Jiang Qiyue in the venue was still closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. The whole audience couldn't help but get nervous. Even some spectators had closed their eyes and put their hands together in a prayer posture. 9, 8, 7, 6. The countdown has sounded, and Jiang Qiyue has not shot the first arrow yet. A bad sound began to appear in the originally quiet scene. 3. When the countdown reached 3, Jiang Qiyue suddenly opened his eyes. He quickly raised his bow and shot the first arrow. But before the first round of results came out, Qiyue's second arrow had already been shot. Beep reverse tilde. The whistle blew to end the game. The result of the first arrow came out, 10+. But the second arrow was still flying. But the game is a game after all, even if the second arrow has not hit the target. The huge computing power of the system has determined the result of this arrow. In the arena, fireworks exploded in the air. Then a huge virtual screen appeared. China Shintu Qiyue, 10+. Beautiful country Alice, 9.9. Greece Urentina, 9.0. Boom. The atmosphere of the whole venue exploded instantly. But no one noticed that Jiang Qiyue's figure in the game began to flicker. Then he slowly disappeared from the scene. And Jiang Qiyue was also confused at this time. Originally, for her buzzer-beating shot, she had even planned the action after winning. But a sharp pain came, and before she could make any action, she fell into darkness. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in an unfamiliar environment. She looked around carefully. Jiang Qiyue, who was always calm, completely collapsed. She saw a pale woman to her looking at her with loving eyes. She was saying something that Jiang Qiyue couldn't understand. She quickly closed her eyes and prayed in her heart that this was a dream. But when she opened her eyes, she still saw this woman. Desperate Jiang Qiyue shouted loudly, but what she heard was the cry of a baby. The woman to her patted her gently. Jiang Qiyue slowly calmed down. She realized that she might have traveled through time. She didn't know what was wrong, but she was obviously very collapsed and desperate. But under the gentle coaxing of the woman, she surprisingly enjoyed it. Jiang Qiyue, who had slowly accepted it, might have been tired from crying, or she might have been too comfortable. Her eyelids began to droop, and she gradually fell into a deep sleep. Before falling asleep, Jiang Qiyue, who had calmed down, thought silently. Is this what it feels like to have a mother? Not bad, it's pretty good. But it's also pretty speechless. Chapter 2. The 51st year of Konoha was a turbulent time for Jiang Qiyue, who was already 3 years old. Originally, I was unlucky and traveled to a strange world. But it didn't matter, because I seemed to have a mother. This made me, an orphan in the ES life, want to grasp the feeling of having a mother. But how could fate not play a joke on you? When Jiang Qiyu woke up for the third time, he found that his biological mother seemed to have no vital signs. But as a newborn baby, what can I do? Just when Jiang Qiyu didn't know what to do, a huge roar came from outside the house. Then there was a violent vibration. This made Jiang Qiyu even more desperate. What happened? I just traveled through time and didn't know what kind of world this was. What's going on? Is this going to be sent away by an earthquake? The angry Qiyu was cursing God fiercely in his heart. A chaotic and anxious voice suddenly sounded outside. But Qiyu didn't understand what to do. Cry. This was the only way for her to survive. Without caring about anything else, July cried out with all her might. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The shaking continued, and the chaos outside continued. But July's crying did not attract anyone's attention. She could only close her eyes in despair, powerless. But God will not let down those who work hard. There was a sudden noise at the door. Then the door was pushed open, and a woman dressed as a peasant ran in. Oh, Ruzi is giving birth. Hurry up, the nine-tailed fox outside is going crazy. Let's go to the shelter quickly. But July could not understand, so she could only cry out loudly. The peasant woman saw that the woman on the bed did not move, so she ran over and patted the woman. But how could a dead person react? The peasant woman also realized something. Pulling a sheet from the bed, he wrapped July up and ran out of the house quickly. July lay in the arms of the peasant woman, staring at the woman on the bed before leaving. The woman on the bed was dead, but she still had a happy smile on her lips. At this moment, the face of this woman was deeply engraved in July's heart. This is her mother. End of memories. This is a world called Naruto, as the famous 3 hot-blooded giants of migrant workers comics in the ES life. Jiang Qiyu said that she had not seen it. It can't be said that she hadn't seen it, but she could only say that she hadn't finished it. She only gave up when she saw the Uchiha clan being exterminated, and only Sasuke survived and formed Team 7. If you want to ask why, it was because she was persuaded by Naruto's hot-blooded saintly speech. Jiang Qiyu was in the era of information explosion in the ES life. There is a wise saying, that is, I am not afraid of my teammates being pigs, but I am afraid of my teammates being saints. Surrounded by malice since childhood, eating expired junk food. He actually wanted to protect Konoha village and gain their recognition. And it seems that he has been in love since he was a child. This made Qiyu scream that she couldn't stand it, and then she was sealed up. Hey, what did I do wrong in my last life? You thief god, why do you do this to me? My mother died on the first day of my birth, and I also experienced the fucking Nine-Tails rebellion. Fortunately, I am lucky, otherwise I would have been killed by you. Lying on the Hokage rock, Jiang Qiyu complained about the thief god every day. But since it has come, we should make the best of it. Complaining is complaining, but this strange world seems to be quite interesting. Ninjutsu is flying all over the sky, just like the game world. As a qualified otaku girl, since you can't resist, then just enjoy it silently. Just treat it as a real simulation game. I don't know if the old man Naruto can approve my application today. After saying that, she touched her belly. I seem to be a little hungry. Forget it. Let's go to the Hokage building first. Then we'll go eat. Sakura is basically a food desert, except for barbecue, ramen, and teppanyaki meatballs. As for the remaining sashimi, July said that he would not even give it to the dog. In my opinion, except for our beautiful motherland, other places are food deserts. Do you think there are delicious foods in the anime world they write? So in this Naruto world where children can follow adults to the battlefield at the age of 3 or 4. July seems to have nothing wrong with cooking by herself. Moreover, I was sent to the orphanage by the kind-hearted peasant woman. In order to repay the 3 years of upbringing, I opened 3 food stalls. Let the children in the orphanage help me. I made a lot of money, and then gave almost all my savings to the orphanage. And I left the orphanage and wanted to start a new life back to her home. the home that belonged to her and her mother. Soon July came to the Hokage building. The first floor was similar to a neighborhood committee, and the ninjas' missions were also received here. It was just not a window. July's arrival quickly attracted the attention of the office staff. "Oh, little July is here. Come here and let your sister hug you." Before July could refuse, the lady at the counter came over with a body flash technique and picked up July and nibbled and bit him. The other women who were slower in movement slowly gathered around. The main reason was that our little July was so beautiful and cute. She was only 3 years old and she looked like a beauty. Her delicate little face made people want to eat it. In fact, there was another reason, which was the food stall mentioned earlier. The food made by July was even more popular among these people. If you don't eat it for a day, you will feel uncomfortable all over. "Rayo, don't you think you can run faster than us because you're a ninja? Put little Nana down so we can hug her." But the woman called Rayo didn't seem to hear it. She held Nana and walked towards the counter. The others around also smiled like elders. "Sister Rayo, has my application been approved by Grandpa Hokage?" Rayo's face changed instantly after hearing that. The people around also looked grim when they heard Nana's words. "Little Nana, Hokage is very busy every day, and he may not have seen Nana's application. Also, the house in your area has been uninhabited for a long time. And it's so far from the center of the village. Why don't you live with your sister?" Everyone followed and persuaded Nana. Because this was not the first time Nana had applied. This is the 20th application in the past 6 months. Since they knew that Chiyue gave all her savings to the orphanage to repay the orphanage for raising her. They cried bitterly and felt very sorry for this small child. Chiyue also knew that the people around her were doing this for her own good. Because her Eas home had been completely abandoned because of the Ninetales rebellion. And the location was at the outermost edge of Konoha village. Basically, it takes more than half an hour to walk from home to the bustling center of Konoha village. They knew that they were orphans, and they came out to make money to repay the orphanage at a young age. They didn't want to suffer anymore. But Jiang Chiyue was a person who received orthodox red education since childhood. The word home does not only represent a place to live. It is also a harbor of comfort for one's soul. The genes engraved in the bones cannot be changed. The noise here soon reached the third-generation Hokage on the top floor. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked out the window at the scenery outside. "Raven, what's going on down there?" A masked ANBU member knelt on one knee behind the third Hokage. "Report to the third Hokage, it's Shinto July, she's here to ask about the application again." Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep puff of smoke and slowly exhaled. "Why is this kid so stubborn? Go, bring her up." "Yes." After that, the ANBU disappeared in an instant, and Sarutobi Hiruzen turned around and sat down. Waiting quietly. Chapter 3. Downstairs, July was still trying to deal with the persuasion of the people around him. The sudden appearance of the Umbu interrupted everyone. "Shinto July, Hokage invites you." Yes, July's surname is Shinto now. It is exactly the same as the ID in the game in her Eas life. When she first knew her surname, July was a little surprised. But think about it, after all, this is a world with cherry blossoms as the background, there are all kinds of surnames. Like Songxia, Jingbian, Heli. Don't listen to the surname with the word Shen, but it's actually not a big one. A commoner among commoners. July asked about her family, and there was no outstanding and powerful person from her ancestors. July heard the words of the Umbu. She struggled in Ling Dai's arms for a while, and motioned Ling Dai to put her down. Then she followed the Umbu upstairs. The people watching around saw July being taken away by the Umbu. They dispersed and went about their own business. The Umbu walked very fast, and July was exhausted from struggling with his short legs. But this Umbu seemed not to see it and continued to walk on his own. July cursed in his heart. "You have no sense at all, you deserve to be an errand runner." She knew that she was a 3-year-old child and could not walk fast. It took a while to reach the door of the Hokage's office. The Umbu knocked on the door. "Third-generation master, Shinto July has brought it." After saying that, he disappeared in an instant. July sighed inwardly, worthy of being a ninja. The way of exiting is so different. Just thinking about it, an old voice came from the office. Come in. July pushed the door and walked in immediately after hearing it. Looking at the furnishings in the office. A pile of scrolls were placed on a huge table. And on the wall to it were photos of the 4 Hokage. An old man just sat behind the table and looked at him kindly. Officially the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. July was not stage shy, and politely bowed to greet the 3rd Hokage. Hokage-sama. Hiruzen looked at the cute girl in front of him. He couldn't help but think that it would be great if this was his granddaughter. Ha ha ha, little July. Long time no see. How is business lately? Sarutobi Hiruzen had certainly met July. After all, since Sarutobi became Hokage, he never missed any opportunity to give a speech on the will of fire. And he personally requested to be the honorary dean of the Konoha orphanage. In order to promote the will of fire, starting from childhood. July still remembers the first time he met Sarutobi Hiruzen when he went to the orphanage to promote the will of fire. After listening to his speech, July immediately classified him as a dangerous person. After all, he was a pyramid scheme leader of this level. If he didn't hide, would he go with him to harm children? The old man also frequently visits the delicacies introduced after July. Replying to Lord Hokage, thanks to your support. Business has always been good. Thank you for your concern, Lord Hokage. Excuse me, what do you want to talk to me about? Did you agree to my application? Sarutobi Hiruzen saw July asking so directly, and immediately changed his tone to a more formal one. Little July, why are you so persistent in wanting to return to the ancestral home? Did you encounter any difficulties in the orphanage? If you have any difficulties, tell Grandpa. It's not that Grandpa is stopping you from returning to the ancestral home. It's just that you are too young now, and the place where your ancestral home is has never been repaired. There is no one living around. It's too dangerous. Wait until you grow up. Go back after graduating from school, okay? No one would think there is any problem after listening to Hiruzen's words. But who is July? A genius girl, she discovered very early that the area of her ancestral home was not because Konoha had no money or was unwilling to repair it. It was as if the top leaders of Konoha deliberately didn't repair it. July kept asking around in the village and checked a lot of public information. The area where her ancestral home was located was close to the area of the Uchiha clan. And all along, the attitude of both civilians and ninjas in the village towards the Uchiha clan was surprisingly disgusted. In the middle, she actually wanted to go back to see that house secretly. But every time before she could get close, a bunch of Umbu would jump out to stop her from getting close to that area. This made July start to guess that Konoha had not repaired that area. And they kept refusing to let her go back. Was it really for her own sake? Or did that place have an irreplaceable role? July listened to this kind of almost the same thing from beginning to end reason. Feeling infinitely bored. In fact, July didn't have to go back to that home. She just wanted to go back to that home again. See if there were any items left by her mother. Now was not the time to argue with the old man in front of her. She was still a child, and she couldn't beat him. Since there was something strange about that place, she could only settle for the best thing. Grandpa Sandai, the orphanage is good. I didn't encounter any difficulties, but I felt that I had grown up. I don't need the care of the director and the sisters. I can take care of myself. In this case, I won't go back for now. But can you give me a day to pack up my parents' belongings? Since he had something to ask of Hiruzen, he could only act cute and obedient. Now that it had come to this, it would be a bit unreasonable for Hiruzen to refuse. After all, on the surface, he was still the good Hokage who was respected by everyone and loved the people like his own children. And facing such a well-behaved and sensible child, he really couldn't bear to refuse. Since he was only going back to pack some things, he wouldn't stay for too long. It would be better to solve this matter directly this time, so that the child wouldn't have to submit applications all the time. Hiruzen immediately changed his smile after he figured it out. Okay, then I'll give you a day to pack. Well, you go back first. I'll send an uncle to go with you tomorrow. So that he can help you. By the way, since you are moving out of the orphanage, where are you going to live in the future? Sarutobi looked at July in confusion when he said this. July certainly had his own plans. When he realized that he couldn't go back to his ancestral home for the time being. In fact, he had already made preparations. It was in the south of the Death Forest, less than 5 kilometers away from the Death Forest. This place belongs to the suburbs and is usually very quiet. But it is not far from the core area of Konoha. And July had surveyed this place a long time ago. Although it belongs to the suburbs, it is not uninhabited. At least there are several houses scattered around. According to the information I have inquired, the people who live in this place. It seems that they are all ninjas who prefer quietness. Usually, the missions are calculated on a monthly or half-year basis. It is more in line with my social anxiety needs. Now that the old man of the third generation has asked, I will take the opportunity to dispel his doubts. Let him think that I really don't care about my ancestral home. Grandpa Sandai, I plan to build a house of my own near the river in the south of the Death Forest. How much do you think it will cost? I don't have much money left, but I can use my food stall as collateral. Is it okay? Hiruzen was stunned after hearing this. Oh, little Chiyue, why did you choose that place? That place is usually deserted and belongs to the suburbs. Since your home is destroyed, how about Grandpa allocate an apartment for you in the village? Although the apartment is small, it is in the village after all, and it is enough for you to live in. At least you can take care of the neighbors around you. Chiyue directly rejected the kindness of the third generation. Insisted on buying land and building a house. Hiruzen, who wanted to get things done as soon as possible, could not persuade the little guy. Finally, he agreed to Nanayu's request and did not charge any fees. Nanayu saw that Sarutobi agreed to her request and saved a lot of money. She said goodbye to Sarutobi happily and took the land use order that the Hokage had just signed. She ran to the first floor to handle the formalities. Chapter 4. After getting the land order signed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, July ran downstairs to handle the relevant procedures. Lingdai looked at the land order in her hand in surprise. Then she looked at the little girl who was standing on tiptoe and clinging to the edge of the counter because she was not tall enough. She wanted to persuade July again, but the order had been signed and issued. If she changed it now, it would be disrespectful to the Hokage. Even the elite jonin in the village would not dare to do so. There was no way. Lingdai could only sigh while handling the land transfer procedures for July. In a few minutes, the procedures were completed. July took the procedures and carefully took out the passbook from her small bag. Looking at the 170,000 deposit in the passbook, she immediately spent 100,000 to register a C-level task at the task release office. It was required to build a house according to the drawings within half a day. The drawings were drawn by July early. In fact, the task of building a house did not meet the standards of a C-level task at all. For ordinary construction tasks, D-level is the best. But July, the employer, asked to complete the construction within half a day. This requires the help of a specific ninjutsu ninja. After all, ninjutsu is a very powerful existence in this world. Not long after the task was released, several ninjas accepted the task. Usually, a formal team is required to accept the task. But July's task is a daily task. So as long as it meets the requirements and agrees with each other, there is no need for a formal team to accept the task. A man in his 30s, led by 4 people of similar age, walked in front of July. Hello, my name is Inoue Nakano. I am good at Earth Escape. I accepted your task. The people behind me are my helpers. Excuse me, can you take us to see the place now? July did not waste words. With the help of Inoue, several people quickly came to the location they had chosen at the beginning. By the way, they took out the architectural drawings. Inoue took the blueprint and was shocked by its design. But he didn't ask any more questions. He took the blueprint and started to discuss the division of labor with the 4 people around him. Soon, the 5 people confirmed the plan and method. Started to build the house. This house was carefully designed by July, and it was built completely according to the standard of the courtyard house. July saw that they had started construction. She walked slowly towards the commercial street of Konoha. The blueprint was drawn by her, and the markings were very detailed. There was no need for her to supervise on site. With this time, she might as well hurry up to buy some daily necessities. After all, she has moved out of the orphanage in Konoha. Accommodation at night must be solved first. Otherwise, she would not be so anxious to spend a huge amount of money and issue a sea-level task. It is definitely impossible to buy everything in one afternoon. The entire courtyard covers an area of more than 500 square meters. It is not big, but it is definitely not small for a 3-year-old. Fortunately, the land was bought in this place. If you want more than 500 square meters of land near Konoha, you can buy it for free. Sarutobi Hiruzen will give it to you for free unless you are crazy. I just bought a mattress and new bedding. Pots, pans, condiments and other emergency items. Furniture is just a simple table and a few chairs. I will deal with it after tonight. Time soon came to the evening, and the house was built early with the joint efforts of several ninjas. July looked at the house rising from the ground in front of him with satisfaction, and his heart was filled with infinite emotion. This will be his home in this world from now on. The ordered things were also moved in with the help of the merchant. After signing the commission for the completion of the task, he quickly took out the ingredients purchased in the afternoon. July planned to cook a good meal to celebrate his housewarming. At night, the lights were turned on in the courtyard. It announced that this house had an owner. Time quickly came to the day. July got up early and sat at the door with a small stool, waiting for the umbu arranged by Sarutobi Hiruzen to pick him up. But after waiting for a long time, it was almost noon. The person he was waiting for never showed up. July was so angry that he kicked the stool and went to the Hokage building to find trouble with the old men of the third generation. Just after locking the door, a man wearing a mask and a ninja forehead covering his left eye. A man with silver hair and hedgehog head stood behind him. July recognized who the young man in front of him was at a glance. Isn't this Kakashi? But now July doesn't care whether he is Kakashi or Shun Shun Dong. He waited for nearly 4 hours. Hey, what's wrong with you, uncle? The Hokage and I clearly agreed to meet morning. But look at what time it is now. I only have 1 day, because you delayed half a day. Do you have any sense of time? Believe it or not, I will go to the Hokage to complain about you now. As a qualified Swan homegirl, she did not ask about Kakashi's household registration book. Launching a family defense war. It is already quite restrained. Kakashi also knew that it was his fault, so even if the cute little girl in front of him cursed, he could only be forced to accept it. July saw that Kakashi did not talk back, and instantly lost interest. The Battle of Swan is about you and me, seeing the moves and countering the moves, blocking the opponent's mentality. But Kakashi had no intention of fighting back, and he couldn't solve anything even if he worked hard here. Now the priority is to go back first. Home is important. Without paying any attention to Kakashi, July walked towards his ancestral home angrily. The two did not say a word along the way. The atmosphere was extremely heavy. Soon, the two walked to the outskirts of Shinto's ancestral home. Familiar smell, familiar umbu. But this time, July followed Kakashi. Kakashi stepped forward and took out a bundle of scrolls, and the umbu opened it and checked it. He nodded to Kakashi and left. July also successfully returned to the place where he started again. Pushing the dilapidated door hard, the room was full of dust. July walked slowly. He walked to the bedside, and there was a photo frame upside down on the cabinet beside the bed. Kakashi did not enter the room but waited quietly outside. July began to slowly pack up all the belongings of the original owner in the room. He did not leave anything that could be taken away. In the shrine in the center of the outer room, there was a tablet. July looked at the name written on the tablet and realized that this tablet belonged to his cheap father. He moved the stool and carefully took down the tablet. But it didn't matter that he touched it, a 1,000-leaf suddenly appeared on the base of the ranking. July, who didn't notice it, had his finger pierced by the 1,000-leaf. Originally a 1,000-leaf, it was nothing to prick, but the bloody senbon shrank back into the tablet. The wooden tablet turned into a scroll with a bang. July realized something and quickly stuffed the scroll into her small bag. Pretending to have noticed nothing, she packed all the things. She handed them to Kakashi outside the door. Kakashi picked up the big and small bags and followed July out of Shinto's house. It was around 7 o'clock in the evening when they returned to their new home. Before leaving, July didn't look good to Kakashi. She even said two things to Kakashi. Based on your concept of time, you won't be able to find a girlfriend in the future. You cover your face so tightly, is it because you are too old? Kakashi made a bitter face and disappeared directly into the vast night. He didn't say a word the whole time. July was not in a hurry to check the strange scroll he found in the afternoon. First, he simply made 2 dishes to appease his stomach. After all, because of Kakashi's late arrival at noon, he didn't eat anything. He simply ate a little. Locked the front door and the bedroom door. July carefully took out the scroll from the bag and slowly opened it. The first thing that caught his eye was 4 big words. Versatile Armor, Chapter 5. The scroll records the inherited secret techniques of the Shinto clan. But Chiyue remembered that she had investigated her family, and there was no amazing or powerful person. How could there be secret techniques passed down? You must know that any secret technique that can be passed down must have its extraordinary features. Just like the 2 famous ninja clans in Konoha, the Hyuga and Uchiha. You said that their bloodline limit is not inherited, except for the Sharingan and the Byakugan. The fire escape ninjutsu that the Uchiha clan is proud of is inherited, right? Isn't the soft fist of the Hyuga clan also inherited? The ancestors who created the ninjutsu must have felt that this ninjutsu was very powerful and would be of great help to the younger generations, so they wanted to pass it down. If they felt that this ninjutsu was very weak or very ordinary, there was no need to pass it down. After all, the ancestors also wanted to save face. You said that the secret ninjutsu left to the younger generations was just an ordinary secret ninjutsu that could not be more ordinary. If you want the younger generations to pass it down, it would be a slap in their own face. July read the contents of the scroll carefully. It not only records the secret art of Shinto, but also the corresponding training experience, including the chakra refining technique. The last is a spiritual technique. Let's talk about the secret art of Shinto, the 100 changes armor first. This is to carve a time-space technique in a certain place, and then use the unique spiritual technique to summon the weapon in the mysterious space. The rune technique of the weapon type has long been figured out by the ancestors of the Shinto clan and recorded on the scroll. If you want to practice a certain weapon, you can sign a contract with a specific weapon. Of course, you can also sign a contract with all weapons, but being able to summon it is one thing, and whether you can use it is another. And the 100 changes armor can actually develop new types of weapons. Just add the spiritual technique. The summoned weapons can be strengthened with other effects through chakra or different materials. It is a bit similar to the equipment in online games, which can be strengthened by strengthening and inlaying gems. After reading the introduction of the 100 changes armor, July was very happy. How to say it, isn't this equivalent to carrying an arsenal with you? I don't know if my cheap dad has practiced, but I can see it from the records on the scroll. Now there are more than 20 kinds of weapons in the mysterious space of the 100 changes armor. And each weapon has been strengthened by the Shinto clan from generation to generation. I didn't expect that I would have such a great harvest just by going back to collect the relics. Since I read the introduction of the 100 changes armor, July's mind instantly appeared with the ideas of becoming stronger that he summarized when he played the God Realm in his ES life. In fact, July started thinking about his own ninja path a long time ago. After all, the chakra in this world is omnipotent. It's basically the same as when he played the God Realm. It's all open world, starting from scratch to explore skills. Since you can successfully develop your own skills in the God Realm, there's no reason why you can't develop them in this more fantasy ninja world. It's just that there is no data support calculation for the computer system. At most, it will take more time. Suppressing the excitement, I started to sort out my parents' relics. In fact, apart from this scroll, only the photo is important. Because it not only contains the image of the mother that he wants to remember desperately, but also the father that he has never met. After packing up the relics of his parents, July reopened the scroll and began to practice chakra refining. After all, whether it is the versatile weapon or the skills to be developed in the future. In fact, chakra is needed as a basis. Chakra equals a combination of spiritual energy plus body cell energy. Slowly, July fell into the joy of practice. He did not feel the passage of time at all. This practice lasted for 4 hours. He felt the traces of light blue energy in his body. The excitement did not diminish at all because of physical and mental fatigue. In fact, July wanted to continue practicing, but in the last hour, no matter how hard she tried, no chakra was produced. There was no way, maybe with her current physical and mental conditions, she had been squeezed to the limit by herself. Who told her that she is only 3 years old now? How much energy can you expect from the cells and spirit of a 3-year-old child? Forget it, let's go to sleep. Dog life is more important. Getting enough sleep is an important way to ensure physical development. Maybe because of the chakra refining, July, who had just laid down, fell into a deep sleep soon. Her little mouth smacked, and a little saliva flowed from time to time. July opened her eyes again and glanced at the wall clock. The big hour hand pointed to the number 1. Not sure if she was half asleep, July quickly opened the curtains. The dazzling sunlight outside made her squint unconsciously. Okay, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not 1 o'clock in the morning. July, who has always had a good biological clock habit, disrupted her rhythm for the first time. It seems that the chakra refining technique is actually a certain burden for me at my age. Especially the consumption of mental energy. July, who was hungry, had no desire to cook at all. There was no choice but to get up quickly and prepare to buy some ready-made food. By the way, I should rent out my 3 food stalls during this afternoon. I have already repaid the orphanage's kindness, and I don't have time or need to set up stalls to make money. It's better to rent it out. The monthly rent is enough to support my life. The step is to formulate a scientific recipe to ensure my chakra practice. After all, the earlier you practice chakra, the better. July had already inquired about it, and the children of big families basically started to practice chakra at the age of 3 or 4. She couldn't fall behind others in this matter. After all, chakra can't be ahead of others by wisdom or tricks. Unknowingly, she had arrived at the commercial street of Konoha. A tempting aroma came from the side. July took a quick look and saw that it was the famous Ichiraku ramen. When she thought that she hadn't eaten noodles for a long time. Just after she stopped thinking, she felt even hungrier. Then let's eat ramen today. Uncle Shouta, give me a bowl of beef ramen. Add an extra portion of beef. I'm going to pass out from hunger. Shouta looked at the food table in confusion, then turned to look at his daughter to him. Did you hear a customer order? 1 beef ramen with an extra portion of beef. But why don't I see any customers? What the hell? Because July is too short now, even if she climbs on the chair, she can only barely touch the food table. Smiled and hit her father. Dad, you just bullied July. Said as she quickly went around the food counter and got a thick cushion for July. Then she picked up July and sat on it. This is July's exclusive cushion, and the height is just right for July to eat noodles in a normal posture. Hand Fighting looked at the little girl in front of her. She couldn't see her eyes to begin with. Now her eyes were narrowed into a slit. Little July, I haven't been here for a long time. I miss you so much. July raised her head helplessly. Uncle Hand Fighting, be careful when you go out time. Be careful that I jump up and hit your knees. As soon as this was said, other people in the store laughed. People who often come to Konoha Commercial Street, how can they not know this beautiful and cute little girl? After all, the food that July sold at the stall before received extreme praise from a group of Konoha people. Just when July was waiting for the ramen to come. Suddenly, I saw a little yellow-haired head to the door. Big light blue eyes, and 6 very recognizable whiskers on the cheeks. Well, the protagonist Naruto appeared. Naruto, who was still a 3-year-old child, looked at July with envy and bit his fingers. He didn't notice the disgusted look of the people around him. Oh, I was actually thinking before that Konoha village is not big, but not small either. But July, who shuttled through Konoha every day before, had never met Naruto. Looking at Naruto's small appearance, even if I knew that he would become a saint in the future. But how could he be hated now? Chapter 6. Naruto didn't realize that he had walked from the wall at the door to the door of the store. This made the originally noisy ramen shop quiet down. Shouta turned around in confusion and saw Naruto standing at the door. Before he could say hello, the people in the store had already started shouting loudly. Yahoo, go away. It's because of you that the fourth Hokage sacrificed himself. The insults soon spread to the street, and people passing by the street stopped and stared at Naruto, who was standing at a loss at the door of the ramen shop. Shouta hurriedly stopped the insults from the customers in the store. After all, in his opinion, even if Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. But this is not something the child can decide on his own. He has never discriminated against or insulted this child. On the contrary, he sympathized with this child. He also invited Naruto to eat ramen from time to time. Every time he saw Naruto's happy expression after eating ramen, Shouta was happy and distressed. But once the situation spreads, it is not something that a small ramen shop owner like him can stop. After all, the Nine-Tails rebellion caused too many casualties. Not only the fourth Hokage, many ninja civilians lost their important people and things in that cholera. People on the street have begun to loudly insult Naruto. Naruto turned around with grievance and looked at those people with hateful faces. I am not a demon fox. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. One day I will become a Hokage. It would be better if he didn't speak. Once he spoke, the tense atmosphere reached its peak. Several children of the same age as Naruto have picked up stones on the ground and threw them at him. Naruto quickly protected his head with his arms and squatted on the ground. Because over the years, he has become accustomed to being attacked for no reason. When the other side has few people, he can still fight back. But when there are many people, only by protecting his head like now can he reduce the damage he suffers. But the expected situation of being hit by the stone did not happen. Instead, the annoying sound around him gradually disappeared, and the environment became quiet. Naruto put down his arms, and a thin figure appeared. It was the cute girl he envied just now. The girl was waving the tablecloth in her hand in a mess. In fact, July didn't want to get involved with Naruto. After all, what she hated most in her ES life was saintliness and love brain. But when she really saw Naruto was about to be bullied in front of her, her body still moved unconsciously. But July would not be stupid enough to use her body to help Naruto block the stone. She picked up the tablecloth on the dining table and ran to Naruto and waved it vigorously. After all, it was a stone thrown by a child. How fast and powerful could it be? All the stones flying in the air were blocked by July. Then she threw the tablecloth away, put her hands on her waist and looked at the people around her angrily. Are you guys bored? Let's not talk about him being a child, even if he is the demon fox you are talking about. You treat him like this, aren't you afraid that he will take revenge on you when he grows up? Demon fox, since you know he is a demon fox, don't you know how powerful demon foxes are? If you have the guts, kill him now. Take revenge if you have grudges, and complain if you have grievances. Don't be like a woman, hesitating and only dares to talk, not dare to do it yourself. The explosive speech shocked the people around. The adults who spoke just now also blushed. They didn't know how to refute for a while. You said to fight? Are you kidding? It really angered the demon fox. The demon fox ran out. The first one to die must be me. You said to fight the little girl in front of me. Don't be kidding, I set up a stall here in July this year. I was harassed by those little gangsters a lot. But the day, all these hooligans knelt in front of July's stall and begged for the little girl's forgiveness. In their opinion, the little girl in front of them was much more intimidating than this demon fox boy. If you anger the demon fox, you may not die. But if you anger July, you will most likely die. Seeing that there was no chance to vent your anger on Naruto again, everyone could only disperse and do what they had to do. And this scene was seen by Sarutobi Hiruzen with a crystal ball. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned around and looked through the window at the bustling Konoha village outside. He sighed deeply. Go check which of those who insulted Uzumaki Naruto just now are Danzo's people. Then deal with them all. In a corner, a figure emerged. Yes, Lord Sandaime. Then he disappeared directly after saying that. Minato, forgive me. I did all this for Konoha. After saying that, turned around and sat down, and dealt with the documents on the table again. Back to July. After July drove all those people away, she hurried back to the store. With the help of Iam, she sat back on the chair. The ramen was ready and served in front of her. She was so hungry that she didn't notice the small figure behind her. After making ramen for July, he hurried to Naruto. Put him on the chair in the same way as July. The customer in the store looked at Naruto, and then looked at July, who was sitting to Naruto. After muttering something unlucky, he threw the money and left. The ramen shop that was bustling just now became deserted in an instant. And this didn't attract any attention from our July. She was enjoying the bowl of ramen in front of her. Soon she finished a bowl of ramen. July touched her bulging belly, put down the money and looked at Naruto beside her. Because from the moment Naruto sat down, he was like a caterpillar. She kept staring at July, twisting and turning. But helping Naruto just now was July's biggest bottom line. Before Naruto could speak, she quickly jumped off the chair, threw down a thank you for the hospitality and ran away. Only Naruto, who seemed to be petrified, was left sitting there. The hand beater brought a bowl of ramen in front of Naruto and patted his head gently. That's little July. You'll have a chance to repay her in the future. Naruto came back to his senses and nodded fiercely to the hand beater. Then he concentrated on dealing with the ramen in front of him. July was not affected by Naruto's affairs. She quickly came to the commercial center office of Konoha. She handled the rental of the stall, and then ran towards the clothing store and market in her memory. First of all, clothes. Although I didn't save money in the past few years in Konoha. But I didn't have the time to dress myself up. The main reason was that I was too young. There was no need to dress up at all. But now I have moved out of the orphanage and started a new life. So changing my dressing style can be regarded as changing my mood. I came to the clothing store, first selected the fabric, and asked the boss to process it into the way I wanted. Then I ordered a few sets of special training clothes. The total cost was 20,000 taels, and the already small property shrunk by more than half. I made an appointment with the boss and rushed to the market with a few sets of training clothes. As the largest agricultural market in Konoha, it contains almost all agricultural and sideline products. Beef shops, dairy shops, fruit and vegetable shops. Even if July has extracted chakra, she is exhausted. All goals have been completed. July returned home soon with satisfaction. After a careful review, I found that there was nothing missing. All worries were solved. Finally, I can start practicing without distraction. Chapter 7. In the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed. July, who was already very beautiful, is now even more beautiful. In a subtle way, because of the practice of the 100 changes armament. Even her temperament has become generous, like a fairy who is not stained by the world. In these 3 years, she has been completely immersed in practice. Not only has she successfully practiced the 100 changes armament. Even the amount of chakra has exceeded that of her peers by more than twice. The originally spacious courtyard has been filled with various piles. The traces on it witnessed July's efforts. On the huge log in the middle of the yard, a figure is standing on the wood sideways at a 90-degree direction. Gravity seems to have lost its effect at this moment. If it weren't for the time travel, Newton's coffin might not be able to hold it down. This thin figure is holding a bow that is shining with black light. Black is a symbol of majesty and solemnity. On the bowstring shining with black light, there is a blue light arrow. A discerning person can tell at a glance that this arrow is not a physical object, but an arrow condensed by chakra. Yes, this is our grown-up July. July stood on the pillar as if out of gravity and looked at the air in front of her. But a closer look shows that it is not the case. In front of July's left eye, several complex glowing circles like magic circles are slowly rotating. Suddenly, her momentum changed, and the bowstring in her hand that was pulled into a full moon was released. The arrows condensed by chakra flew towards the targets hanging around the yard. In the blink of an eye, several round targets were all blown into pieces. July did a standard backflip and jumped off the pillar. The longbow in her hand also disappeared, and turned into a spear. July in midair tightly grasped the spear in her hand, and suddenly kicked her legs in midair to accumulate power. The spear stabbed continuously, and the tip of the spear had already appeared as an illusion because of its speed. A wooden stake as thick as a person was instantly covered with large and small holes. Then, long swords, tang swords, daggers, long sticks, and nunchakus. Various weapons danced various moves in July's hands. At this moment, July seemed to have transformed into a weapon master. It seemed that there was no weapon she didn't know. This was all the results of July's practice in the past 3 years. All the weapons of the 100 Changes armor were successfully contracted, and each weapon reached the master level. Many people may ask here, even if July's IQ reached 260. But 3 years is too short, even if you practice 16 hours a day. Want to integrate so many weapons and practice to the master level? This is simply impossible. But July did it. This has to mention another result of July's practice. That is one of the miniature magic circles that appeared in front of July's left eye just now. This is what July spent a whole year developing, combining the experience of playing God's domain in the ES life. Through continuous experiments and improvements, it has become a unique ninja world version of auxiliary training system. Of course, this system is not the so-called high-tech or the golden finger in the novel. The effect of this skill is like a high-definition camera. It can record all the scenes seen into the magic circle. And the magic circle is quickly analyzed, including the disassembly of the action and the power of various moves. After the successful development of this ninjutsu, July spent a huge amount of money to sign up for various weapon masters courses. Various actions and power methods have been analyzed and disassembled clearly for you. In this way, if you can't practice again, either there is a problem with your brain, or you are not suitable for this weapon at all. A beautiful ending action. July closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. This stage of practice has come to an end. The core goals of his ES plan have also been achieved. Slowly opened his eyes and looked at the mess in the yard. Hurry up and clean up this mess. Although I was physically tired, I was still in a very happy mood. Soon the yard became spacious, neat and clean again. Because all the ES piles were cleared out. They won't be used in future practice, so why leave them in the yard? I hurried back to the bathroom and started to take a shower, but I was halfway through taking off my clothes. Suddenly, I felt a throbbing in my hand. Chiyue looked up at the air with disgust, and the peeping came again. This phenomenon occurred 3 years ago. At that time, Chiyue had just started to practice the 100 Changes armament. Maybe because of the family bloodline, it didn't take long for her to successfully contract her life weapon, the longbow, Black Xuanyue, from the armed space. But when she took back the longbow, at the moment of bow, July suddenly felt a sense of being spied on. She did not show any abnormality and began to throw shurikens and kunai normally. Soon the feeling of being spied on disappeared. July, who was confused, became more cautious. After practicing for 3 months in hiding, July finally found out that she could feel that she was being spied on. It was all because of the secret technique of the 100 Changes armament. Because the 100 Changes armament involves the aspects of time and space. So the perception of the surrounding space is particularly sensitive. The means of the mysterious person who spied on her may have touched the space aspect. So she could feel and know the help of the 100 Changes armament for her. For a period of time in the following period, July carefully read the secretary scroll. It happened that at this time, a few wandering ninjas performing magic came to Konoha. From these wandering ninjas, she bought a D-level illusion, projection technique. After returning home, July secretly trained while trying to verify her experiment. Why do you have to be sneaky? Who knows if that pervert has arranged people to monitor his home besides this kind of space-related peeping? Finally, with July's continuous development, a new barrier that includes ninjutsu and illusion came into being. The effect of this barrier is very simple. It is a space-time ninjutsu based on projection illusion. It interferes with any vision in space and reality. July named this barrier Mirror Flower Water Moon. After secretly arranging the barrier, July's hanging heart was completely put down. After that, he was no longer afraid that the mysterious pervert would peep at him again. July took off his clothes and lay in the bathtub relaxedly. He was not affected by the peeping at all. After all, since the development of Mirror Flower Water Moon, there have been no more than 200 peepings in the past 3 years, but there have been at least 100 times. I'm used to it. I can't see anything anyway. And July generally knows who this peeping Tom is. Who else could it be? Of course, it must be our most beloved third Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was far away on the top floor of the Hokage building, was drooling at the crystal ball, There seemed to be a stream of red liquid flowing out of his nose, and the picture was very perverted. Of course, this was not because he saw our July taking a bath. After all, what Hiruzen saw just now was just July trying to throw shuriken. The picture displayed by the crystal ball now was surrounded by water vapor. A snow-white mountain and a dense black jungle could be vaguely seen. There was only one place that matched this picture, and that was a hot spring bath in Konoha. A series of knocks on the door interrupted Sarutobi Hiruzen's peeping. Hiruzen quickly put away the crystal ball, sat up straight, wiped his nosebleed and saliva, and shouted. "Come in." Chapter 8. The one who pushed the door open was Irika, the then teacher of the ninja school. Third generation Sama, all the children who meet the age for this term have been notified. Tomorrow is the first day of school, Hokage-sama, I need to confirm with you about the time of tomorrow's speech. Sarutobi Hiruzen may still be immersed in the scene he just peeped at. He hadn't reacted after Irika finished speaking. After a while, he quickly coughed twice to cover up his embarrassment. "Okay, I got it, Irika. By the way, how many students will be enrolled in this batch?" In fact, there are many children who meet the age for school admission in Konoha. But not everyone wants to be a ninja, and Hiruzen knows how many invitations have been issued. How many people agree? That's what the people below have to count before they can report to him. A total of 80 children of the right age were invited this term, but less than 40 agreed in the end. It's even fewer than the students in the EAS term. Sarutobi Hiruzen listened to Irika's report and quietly lit a cigarette. He took a deep breath before speaking slowly. "Irika, peace has been going on for a long time, and everyone wants a peaceful life. It doesn't matter if there are fewer students." Irika respected Sarutobi Hiruzen very much. After listening to the words of the Hokage, he secretly admired him. As expected of the Hokage, a simple sentence directly hits the truth. Hiruzen looked at Irika's eyes full of admiration and was secretly proud of himself. This is the will of fire. "Okay, Irika, you have worked hard recently. Go back and rest early, there will be a lot of work tomorrow." "Yes, third generation lord, then I will take my leave first." Irika bowed and left the office. After seeing off Irika, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the sky outside the window. It's already this time. Go and see the little guy Naruto, after all, school will start tomorrow. I have to go and give him some good advice. That's quite nice, but in fact, shouldn't I pay proper attention to Naruto? So that I can brainwash Naruto. If July knew what Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking now, he would definitely say, as expected of the biggest pyramid scheme boss in Konoha, he never misses any opportunity to brainwash. After taking a bath, July walked to the table in the living room. Picked up the letter on it. It was the admission notice sent by a man named Irika a few days ago. Tomorrow is the day to enroll in the ninja school. In fact, July doesn't have to go at all, after all, she has basically learned everything she should learn and understand by herself. After all, she is a genius girl. Besides, the ninja school is no different from a child playing house. What serious knowledge can be taught? But July has to go now, after all, she wants to stay in Konoha. She can only follow the rules of the village step by step. Otherwise, I can only be an unregistered ninja without a file. Forget it, just take it as a holiday for myself. July didn't hesitate too much, and turned around to start cooking. Soothe her restless stomach. There were obviously many more parents with children on the street. They all gathered in one direction. July got up early and dressed up seriously. After all, it was the first day of school, and it was also the first time for her to appear in the public sight in the past 3 years. Put on her carefully designed clothes. Humming a little tune along the way, she walked towards the ninja school. July, who has grown up, is very eye-catching along the way. Not only because of her beautiful face, but also because of her outstanding temperament. The feeling of being out of touch with the world. It really fits the saying, you can only watch from a distance and not play with it. And then match it with the carefully designed clothes. The rate of turning heads is basically 100%. Many children looked at the clothes on July and cried and asked their parents to buy them beautiful clothes. Although July is a little socially anxious, she couldn't help but feel proud when she heard people around her praising her clothes. This is made according to the skin that she had been dreaming about in her ES life. In fact, that skin is a piece of clothing. And that piece of clothing is just a replica of the costume of the protagonist Tienna Meiji in an anime. A white button-down shirt, a classic white sailor skirt on the lower body, and a white admiral cape on the shoulders. In fact, July also designed a trouser version of similar clothes. Actually, it is the clothes of Esteth the Killer. But the cape is unchanged, and it looks like it is draped over the shoulders. In fact, it is connected by buttons, otherwise the clothes will fly away if you move or a strong wind blows. Then how to pretend to fight. July arrived at the school gate soon, surrounded by the children who came to school and their parents. He casually looked at the children around him, and only a few of them were familiar to him. Like Naruto, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Sakura, Hinata, who had appeared in the anime in the early stage. Originally, July was not familiar with these people, so he did not go up to say hello. But a large part of the people around him focused their attention on July. These people were not because of her beauty and strange clothes. But through perception, they were surprised by the amazing amount of chakra. These people are ninjas from large families with a long history of wood industry and special induction. In terms of the amount of chakra in the whole audience, only the child who made the whole village taboo exceeded the little girl in front of him. July ignored the naked perception of the people around him. He took out the admission notice and successfully completed the admission. The adults at the door saw that their children had already entered the school, so they did not stay too long. They all dispersed. On the huge playground in the school, the children were all excited. Those who knew each other and those who didn't quickly formed small groups. There were only 3 exceptions, one was Sasuke and the other was Naruto. Needless to say, the other one must be July. As for Sasuke, he was just playing it cool, so he put on a condescending look. Many little girls around exclaimed with loving eyes that he was so handsome. But seeing Sasuke's expression, they were all very reserved and didn't come forward. As for Naruto, there's no need to explain this reason. As for the demon fox, no one dared to approach. As for July, because of her unique temperament, no one dared to come forward, for fear of blaspheming the girl in front of them. There were also a few bold and precocious little boys who wanted to come over to chat. But July just narrowed her eyes. They were all scared away by her eyes. But is this really the case? Actually, it wasn't, but she said she was already an adult in her 30s because of her social phobia. She disdained to play with these kids. Yes, that's it. Chiyue, who was stubborn, couldn't help thinking so in her heart. Soon the school teachers organized the students to stand up. Because it was time for the 3rd Hokage to give a speech. Chiyue, who had been abused by the elementary school principal in her ES life, quickly closed her hearing. She was afraid that she would fall asleep while listening to the speech. This 3rd Hokage old man was really not tired, he talked for a whole hour. Then he waved his hand. Children, where the leaves are flying, the fire is also endless. I hope you can all become independent ninjas. Inherit the will of fire of Konoha. It was exactly as Chiyue expected, no matter which world it was. No one can stay awake during the leader's speech. This is one of the best hypnosis methods in the world. After Sarutobi Hiruzen left, Irika took a list to the stage and started to divide the classes. July was fortunate enough to be assigned to the same class as the 9 strongest students of Konoha, Chapter 9. According to the original work, Irika became the head teacher of the 9 little strongmen, including July. After the division of classes, each head teacher led the children in his class back to his classroom. After waiting for the students to sit in their seats, Irika on the podium began to introduce himself. Hello, classmates, my name is Yumano Irika. I will be your head teacher for 6 years until you graduate. You should also introduce yourself, don't be shy. Let's start from the left. This student, stand up and introduce yourself. The little girl sitting on the far left stood up at once, and it was obvious that she was very nervous. Teacher, I don't know how to introduce myself. Irika smiled, don't be nervous, it's very simple. Just introduce your name, what you like, what you hate, and what your dream is. My name is Kenzaki Mizuki, I like 3-color meatballs, and I hate sticky things. My dream is to become a woman as gentle as my mother. My name is Sato Yuko. My name is Uchiha Sasuke, I like to be with my brother, I hate not keeping promises, and my dream is to become as strong as my brother. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, I like Ichiraku ramen, and I hate arrogant guys. My dream is to become a Hokage and be recognized by everyone. When Uzumaki Naruto just stood up, July found that Irika on the podium revealed extreme disgust in his eyes. July couldn't help but mourn for Naruto in his heart. He hadn't done anything yet, but the teacher had already started to hate him. In fact, she knew it must be because of this kid's identity. Otherwise, who would show disgust to a strange child? Unless this child is a cheating child of his wife. Soon, everyone, including the 9 children, finished introducing themselves. Only July was left. Even though she was socially anxious, there was no way to avoid this stupid self-introduction. My name is Shinto July. I don't have anything I like for the time being, and I can't think of anything I hate for the time being. As for my dream, keep it a secret. After saying that, July blushed and sat down quickly. This was the limit of what she could do. The whole class, including Irika, looked at July speechlessly. In the end, it seemed that she had only introduced her name. Irika clapped his hands and focused the attention of the whole class on himself. Only Naruto's eyes were still on July. July, I have been looking for you for the past 3 years. I didn't expect that she would become my classmate. Thinking of this, Naruto couldn't help but think of what Uncle Han said to him. Secretly clenched his fists. I must repay July well. July certainly didn't know that she had been targeted by a little yellow-haired boy. She looked at Irika, who had already started teaching on the stage, and then looked at the pineapple-headed boy who was already sleeping on the table to her. Without any signs, July also lay on the table in the same manner. But she was even more excessive than the pineapple-headed boy, and directly took out a pillow. She also used her hands to seal and cast the D-level illusion that she bought from the wandering ninja, creating a projection of someone who was listening attentively. Soon, accompanied by Irika's low and demonic voice on the podium, July fell asleep. July was comfortable, but the pineapple-headed boy Shikamaru who was sitting to her was not so lucky. A piece of chalk hit Shikamaru's head very accurately. Nara Shikamaru. Go out and stand for punishment. Shikamaru raised his head sleepily and looked at Irika, who was furious on the stage. He could only scratch his head helplessly and stood up to stand outside the classroom for punishment. But when Shikamaru stood up, he found something fishy around him. He saw a girl with a ponytail and a delicate face resting with her eyes closed. But there was another person who looked exactly like this girl, perfectly blocking the figure lying on the table. Even though the seats in the classroom were stepped, Irika on the podium did not notice it. Shikamaru's CPU almost burned out when he saw this scene. Not wanting to cause trouble, Shikamaru did not expose July to him. He went to stand in the punishment. July did not realize that his comrade who slept in class with him had sacrificed at this time. It must be said that the courses in the ninja school are really a test of perseverance. It lasted all morning. July, who was awakened by the noise around him, looked at the time. He found that it was already 12 o'clock in the afternoon. July, who reacted, quickly put away the pillow on the table. He ran to the school cafeteria quickly and started eating. If you are not active in eating, you have a problem with your brain. The school cafeteria is pretty good, not bad. It basically guarantees all the nutrition that a child of this age needs. But the taste is not very good. July returned to the classroom and saw Shikamaru lying on the table to him listlessly. Seeing July coming back, Shikamaru stood up shyly. What is the name of the ninjutsu you performed this morning? Can you teach me? July had a question-mark face like an old man on the subway. What do you mean? Asking me to learn ninjutsu right away. What ninjutsu? The fat boy Choji, who had been following Shikamaru, also raised his hands excitedly. I want to learn it too. Can July teach me too? July was at a loss. What did they mean? Otherwise, no matter how young Shikamaru was, he was still a member of the Nara clan. His IQ was beyond reproach. Seeing July's doubts, he quietly explained to July what happened in the morning. Only then did July understand that they wanted to learn the projection technique. So that I can sleep peacefully in class later. The Nara clan and the Akimichi clan are both big clans in Konoha. especially the Akimichi clan. When I was a child, I had to deal with this group of honest fat people who let the Akimichi clan control almost 80% of Konoha's meat business. The two of them must have received excellent education from their family since childhood. Coming to the ninja school is just to give face to the Hokage. July was not stingy and threw the scroll directly to Shikamaru. Hey, it's actually a simple illusion. Shikamaru didn't expect that the beautiful girl in front of him would be so easy to talk to. He has been influenced by it since he was a child, and he always thinks that beautiful women are very troublesome creatures. Thank you, July. I will invite you to eat barbecue at Choji's house some other day. Choji also nodded with a smile. July made an okay gesture, which was considered an agreement. And Ino, who was sitting in front, didn't care to appreciate Sasuke's handsome face. Gossiping very close to Shikamaru. Hey, Shikamaru, you always think beautiful women are dangerous. You've finally figured it out. You're actually trying to flirt with our class beauty. Shikamaru looked like he was in a lot of trouble. Don't talk nonsense. I just want to learn that ninjutsu she taught this morning. What else can I do if I don't sleep after taking such a boring class every day? Also, I never said beautiful women are dangerous. I just think they're troublesome. Choji nodded seriously beside him, as if he agreed with Shikamaru's statement. Chapter 10. In the eyes of Shikamaru and Choji, sleeping may be more attractive than admiring beautiful women. Seeing that Shikamaru was indeed not interested in July, Ino left them to admire her Sasuke. Damn wide forehead, she actually snatched Sasuke from me. I won't lose to her. Shikamaru heard Ino's muttering. Hey, it's not that beautiful women are troublesome, but that all women are troublesome. At a young age, he has seen through the world and understood the true meaning of life. After complaining, Shikamaru turned around and started to study the sleeping magic that he had just obtained with Choji. The afternoon class was a practical class, because Irika notified them in advance. So they waited at the training ground early. July found a shady place and sat down directly. She didn't notice that she was wearing a short skirt, and it was white. And Naruto wanted to find an opportunity to come over and talk to July. But for some reason, his attention was attracted by the black-haired and arrogant guy. There is a destiny in the dark. It's not just Naruto who dislikes Sasuke, Sasuke feels the same way. As the saying goes, a turtle looks at a green bean, and once they make eye contact, they can't look away. As for Sasuke, although he dislikes the yellow-haired guy, he still maintains a cold expression. But the carefree Naruto doesn't care about temperament and expression. If you don't like him, just go straight up. Start with a big move, and end with a flat attack. He's as fierce as a tiger, but the record is 0-5. Maybe it's Naruto, who shouted at Sasuke. Crazy provocation, but before Sasuke can make a move, the warriors of Sasuke's support group don't agree. Black hands and ruthless kicks all hit Naruto. Naruto, who was already bruised before the class started, couldn't help but shout out. Why? Inuzuka Kiba, with a white dog on his head, walked to Naruto's side. He and many male classmates in the class actually had the same question as Naruto. Why is Sasuke so arrogant, with a paralyzed face that says Northwest one should get close to him? They are obviously not bad to be popular with all the female classmates in the class. The practical class will start soon, save your strength, and beat that guy up when the time comes. Kiba stretched out his hand and pulled Naruto up from the ground. Naruto was very happy to grab Kiba's hand and stand up. Hello, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I will be the man who will become Hokage in the future. This was the first time someone took the initiative to come and talk to him. Although July protected Naruto that time, he didn't say a word to him the whole time. So the first time someone took the initiative to talk to him, he couldn't help but be very excited. Kiba looked at the strange guy in front of him in confusion. I don't understand why he is so excited. My name is Inuzuka Kiba, but Naruto, you will not be the Hokage in the future. Because I will be the future Hokage. Hearing that someone was competing with him for the position of Hokage, the innocent Naruto immediately quarreled with Kiba. The civilian children following Kiba were afraid of Naruto. Because their families have told them since childhood that the demon fox is very dangerous and they must stay away from Naruto. But they are only 6 or 7 years old, and now is not a war era. I saw with my own eyes that Naruto is not as scary as his parents said. And he also disliked Sasuke and was the first to stand up and provoke Sasuke. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Soon they fought with Naruto. They even formed an anti-Sasuke alliance. The purpose is to make Sasuke embarrassed and make him lose face in the class. In this way, the girls in the class will definitely look at them with new eyes and become the most beautiful boys in the class. The small training ground seems to reflect the entire ninja world. Various social groups, star-chasing groups, and the Free Army Resistance Alliance. July watched this interesting scene. Going to school is actually pretty good. Soon Irika came to the training ground with an assistant named Mizuki. The first section was shuriken and kunai throwing training. The ninjas from big families were not very interested, but the children from ordinary families were very excited. They didn't have many opportunities to taste and touch ninja tools, and few parents would buy real tools for them to play with. So it was the first time they touched brand new kunai and shuriken. Everyone tried their best, and the scene suddenly became very chaotic. Shurikens and kunai were flying all over the sky, but few of them were aimed at the target. Seeing this dangerous scene, Irika quickly jumped out to stop it. Start calling the names and let the children come in order. The first one is Uchiha Sasuke. As soon as the cold Sasuke appeared, all the girls in the crowd screamed. Almost shook July's ears deaf. She was so scared that she quickly moved away from the group of female fans. She shouted that the fan circle culture was so scary. The fans' screams did not affect Sasuke at all. Although he was still young, the excellent family education results were reflected at this moment. The shuriken and kunai were accurately nailed in the center of the target. Sasuke, full marks. Very good. As soon as Irika finished speaking, screams rang out again on the field. Reverse tilde Sasuke-sama. As expected of Sasuke-sama, your throwing skills are amazing. Sasuke heard their flattery. He snorted proudly and turned back to the boys' team. When he passed by Naruto's provocation came as expected. Humph, arrogant guy. Wait and see, such a simple thing, I can do it easily. Idiot. Sasuke's idiot made Naruto, who was already a powder keg, explode all of a sudden. If it weren't for Ya and the others, the two of them might have had a live fight. The girls' team was led by Mizuki. First, Hyuga Hinata. A short-haired little loli walked out slowly. July looked nervous and seemed to be similar to herself. Could she also be a little socially anxious? Swoosh swoosh reverse tilde shuriken and kunai were also nailed on the target. 6 points, keep working hard. When it was July's turn, there were not many people in the girls' team. Throwing was secondary, they all went to see Sasuke in a group. No one cared about their own results. July just threw it casually. Never thought about getting first place, just make sure to be on the target. Shun to July, 6 points. Keep working hard. The girls' team finished earlier than the boys. Who made the girls have fewer people? The second class, actual combat practice. After Irika Mizuki demonstrated the seal of fighting and the seal of reconciliation, he began to select students for the battle. Mitsuhisa Mikita vs. Kanzuya Ninomiya, Haruno Sakura vs. Fubuki Kobayashi. The team was still divided into 2 teams, one for men and one for women. If the throwing of ninja tools still cannot reflect the gap between civilians and families, then the actual combat training is a naked revelation of this truth. Even if the children of the family are a little fat boy like Choji, they all crush their opponents. Did they use family ninjutsu? Don't be kidding. It's just the simplest physical technique to crush. Look at those civilian children, each one is fighting like a gangster. Turtle fists are swinging randomly. Even if there are a few children whose physical skills look decent, but they are still crushed. Naruto was even knocked down by Sasuke in one move. Naruto is still shouting that he is not convinced and must fight with Sasuke again. But she was quickly suppressed by Irika's iron fist. July was fighting Hinata with the same idea. She didn't want to reveal her strength, after all, she had noticed that the old man of the 3rd generation was watching her from the beginning. This just happened to suit her. So she accidentally exposed a mistake, and after being hit by Hinata, she raised her hands in surrender. Oh, when will the old men of the third generation die of old age? Who can stand being monitored all the time? When will the weak July stand up? Chapter 11. Ordinary school life is so plain and simple. Every day is either school or after school. July, who has been tense for 3 years, also took this opportunity to enjoy the current life. In the classroom, fixed small groups have been formed. Sasuke's Fan Alliance, Naruto, Kiba, and others, Anti-Sasuke Pretentious Alliance. Shikamaru, Choji, July's Sleeping in Class Alliance. Or various civilian groups. Although July herself is also a civilian. But other civilian children in the class have never regarded July as a civilian like themselves. With that temperament, if you say she is the granddaughter of the daimyo, they will believe it. In addition to practical results, July's theoretical results have always been the first in a discontinuous way. Sasuke. Shikamaru. Not even qualified to carry shoes for July. But after all, it is a school for training ninjas, and practical results will always account for a much higher proportion than theoretical results. All in all, Sasuke is still the head of their class. July didn't even make the top 10. There are interesting things happening every day in school. Look, a man on top of a man, a strong man locking a man, happened today. This is what happened. As the second male lead, Sasuke sat in his seat with aloofness. And our other protagonist, Uzumaki Naruto, was always looking for death and provoking Sasuke. But his posture was not very elegant. He stepped on the table and stared at Sasuke in a half-squat. He didn't take the threats of the Fan Alliance of Sakura and Ino seriously at all. Sasuke looked up and was about to say something. For some reason, the passerby behind Naruto suddenly stood up excitedly. It didn't matter if he stood up, he pushed the half-squatting Naruto out directly. Konoha classroom, passionate French kiss. And then Naruto was dragged out by the Sasuke Fan Alliance and beaten for 10 minutes. If Iruka hadn't happened to meet him, maybe Konoha would have the first Jinchuriki to be beaten to death by children who had not graduated yet. It was another year of leisure time. Sasuke, as the head student, was unexpectedly absent from class that day. Iruka did not explain the reason. But that night, an umbu came to his house. He held a land requisition exchange document in his hand. It seemed that he could return to his ancestral home. He asked if he needed to move back or sell the land to Konoha. July, who was used to living here, signed and sold the land to Konoha for 2 million taels. After all, there was nothing left in that family. And the land in the old house was still very small, which was incomparable to the current home. It was not bad to be able to make full use of it and exchange some property. After sending the umbu away, July lay on the bed. Something might have happened to the Uchiha clan. Why would there be such a guess? First, his old house was close to the Uchiha clan. When July's application was rejected indefinitely, July had guessed that the Uchiha clan might have something fishy going on. He couldn't go back because the clan land was occupied by the Konoha high-level officials to block and monitor the Uchiha clan. July also noticed the atmosphere in the village these days. In addition, Sasuke skipped classes today. So what happened to the Uchiha clan? On the way to school the day, rumors about the extermination of the Uchiha clan could be heard everywhere. July, who heard the news, verified his guess. The Uchiha clan was in trouble. What about Sasuke? Was he killed too? That's not right. When I watched anime in my ES life, I clearly remembered that Sasuke was alive and said he wanted to kill that man when he formed the ninja team. Forget it, why think so much? People die every day in the ninja world, and I can't even say that I have a good relationship with that Sasuke. Whether I live or die has nothing to do with me, just live your life well every day. Without too much entanglement, July came to the classroom. What caught her eye was Uchiha Sasuke sitting in his seat, looking like a dead person. The female fans of the Sasuke Love Alliance were also frightened by the cold aura emanating from Sasuke and dared not come forward to speak. Ino relied on her relationship with Shikamaru and was one of the few people in the class who could talk to July. She walked over nervously and held July. Have you heard? Sasuke's family was exterminated. It seems that Sasuke's brother did it. July looked at Ino in surprise. What Ino said just now had a great impact on her worldview. She always thought that the men that Sasuke said he would kill in the anime would be someone else. I didn't expect it to be the brother that Sasuke always talked about. Shikamaru and Choji also came over. The village has already designated Uchiha Itachi as a traitor. I don't know, what are you thinking? Why would Sasuke's brother do such a cruel thing? Chiyue looked at Ino and said to her. This is a good opportunity. Sasuke is very vulnerable now. He needs comfort from others very much. Why don't you seize the opportunity now? Do you want to give the opportunity to Sakura? Ino spread her hands helplessly. I want to, but Sasuke is a little scary now. And this has just happened. If I say something now, it would be like exposing his scars. Chiyue didn't expect Ino to think so much. After all, Ino's usual behavior is similar to that of a crazy fan in her ES life. She thought Ino would rush forward to comfort her. So, you hold me just to tell me about this, right? His family was exterminated. It seems to have nothing to do with you, right? In theory, I seem to be worse off than him. Although it was his brother who did it, there are still 2 men alive in his family. But what about me? I am the only child in our family. Instead of sympathizing with him, you might as well live your own life. You can't help him get revenge, nor can you understand his feelings. Why add to your own troubles? Seventh Moon spoke without any intention of hiding anything. All these words reached Sasuke's ears. Ino frantically pulled Seventh Moon to the back, covering her mouth as she walked. Ino was devastated at this moment. She never expected that Seventh Moon, who usually didn't talk much, would suddenly say so many words. Sasuke heard this and thought she was talking about him behind his back. What if Sasuke hated her because of this? She told Seventh Moon about this because she wanted Seventh Moon to take her with her to talk to Sasuke. Because Sasuke, who usually claims to be a genius, cares a lot about theoretical results in addition to practical results. When his brother Itachi graduated, he was a complete master in both practical and theoretical results. Number 1 in the school. He does not allow himself to be worse than his brother. So the only person standing in his way is the usually quiet but outstanding Shinto Chiyue. For this reason, Sasuke made a very difficult decision. He decided to ask Chiyue for the tricks of learning, and strive to surpass Chiyue in the exam. Because in his heart, he felt that the reason why he did not surpass Chiyue was because she had her own unique learning skills. Once this trick is mastered by himself, then with his own intelligence, he will definitely become the real number 1 in the class. So Chiyue is the first girl who made Sasuke speak actively. Now his plan was ruined by Chiyue's words. Please Chiyue, don't say anything more. Even if you don't help me, don't hurt me. It's over, it's all over, Sasuke will definitely hate me. Ino pushed July onto the stool and complained frantically in her ear. Shikamaru looked at July, whose eyes were gradually becoming empty, and quickly pulled Choji aside. He hoped that Ino's resentment would not be transferred to him. Sasuke, who was sitting in front, heard July's words, and his dead heart gradually revived. He only heard July's words of revenge, and the rest of the words were automatically filtered out by his ears. Yes, revenge. The man also said in person that he was too weak. He didn't even have the interest to take action. If he wanted revenge, he had to work hard to become stronger. How could he take revenge when he was sitting here like a dead person? Suddenly, a seed called revenge took root deeply in Sasuke's heart. Chapter 12. The Uchiha clan extermination soon subsided in the village. Ino sighed. She didn't worry about being disliked by Sasuke. But Sasuke did change. Not against them, but against himself. After the extermination, Konoha's high-level officials once asked the young Sasuke, should they keep their clan land or sell it to them? For this reason, Sasuke also specifically asked July's opinion. July didn't expect Sasuke to ask her such a thing. Then he said to Sasuke very calmly, slightly changing what Father Odin said in the Eos Life of Thor 3. Where you are, that is the Uchiha clan land. Sasuke listened to July's advice without hesitation. Sold the clan land to Konoha for 200 million. This made July call it a waste, as she had estimated the area of the Uchiha family. Although the location was not very good, the transaction price of 400 to 500 million was still easy. I didn't expect that Sasuke would be dealt with at a bargain price. If Uchiha Itachi knew this news, would he regret not killing Sasuke? Yes, he might have to kill July at the same time. Because it was July who gave Sasuke the suggestion. July might cry out that she was wronged here. She suggested selling the clan land, but she didn't say to sell it at a bargain price. Unknowingly, I have been in Konoha for 60 years. Today is the graduation test of the ninja school. 6 years of school life will come to an end today. In these 6 years, everyone has not changed much. It may be because we are too familiar with each other every day. Naruto is still the kind of silly and carefree personality. In these 6 years, he has gone from the Death Forest to the Hokage Rock. There is almost northwest famous place in Konoha that has escaped Naruto's black hand. As for Sasuke, his temperament is getting colder and colder. In July's opinion, the extermination of the clan caused Sasuke a second-year disease to break out early. Because Sasuke would say from time to time that he was an avenger. July became more and more beautiful, with gray hair tied into a high ponytail. Although her height changed, her clothes remained the same. A unique white suit with a cool admiral cape. It is impossible to say that July has not practiced at all in the past few years. It's just that her practice direction has shifted from herself at the beginning to the weapons of the versatile armed forces. Tian, who graduated last year, has a family that runs a ninja tool store. There are many rare minerals and strange metal materials in the family. These were all bought by July. After all, Tian's family can't use them, so they are just sitting there. It's better to sell them to people in need. Strengthening weapons is not that simple. After all, Shinto has been passed down for many generations, and the rare materials now may be very common before. But the result is good, and several kinds of metal materials have been successful. It also derives many interesting abilities. The graduation examination officially began, and the first test was the three-body technique taught by the school. Except for Naruto and a few of the last-place students in the class. All of them passed. The theoretical examination was no problem for July. In the afternoon, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had not appeared in the screen for a long time, came to the school with a few chunins. He personally distributed ninja forehead protectors to the graduating students. His cheerful look made July feel sick. Who would have thought that the old man who looked very kind now was actually a perverted sex maniac behind his back? He was an expert in voyeuristic ninjutsu. July, who received the forehead protector early, leaned against the gate and looked at Naruto sitting on the swing by the big tree outside the school. It seems that what was supposed to happen is still going to happen. Naruto did not pass the examination successfully, and the villain Mizuki will appear. The Book of Sealing. In fact, July felt something was wrong when she watched the anime before. There are many strong people in such a big village. And Naruto has been under the surveillance of the Umbu. How could it be so easy to steal the important sealed book of the village? Even if the third Hokage is an old pervert, he was knocked down by Naruto's seduction technique. But doesn't the village usually have any protective measures for the sealed book? Why didn't any other ninjas in the village find Naruto, but Irika did? He also risked his life to block Mizuki's fatal blow. The third Hokage could find Naruto in the first place by using the peeping ninjutsu, so why didn't he send a ninja? And Naruto looked through the sealed book seriously, but there was no blame afterwards. All the clues together can only mean that Sarutobi Hiruzen deliberately let Naruto steal the sealed book. Then the sealed book must have been tampered with. It is very likely that only the multiple shadow clone technique and Naruto's father, the fourth Hokage, are recorded in it. The purpose of doing this is twofold. First, let Naruto learn multiple shadow clones and graduate successfully, without any punishment afterwards. And let Irika and Naruto establish a bond. This will make Naruto more identified with the village, so that they can more easily control the killer weapon of Jinchuriki. They all know that Naruto is the child of the fourth generation, and they recorded Flying Thunder God in it. Just to see if Naruto can integrate his father's talent. Learn Flying Thunder God. You know, the Flying Thunder God of the fourth generation Namikaze Minato was famous during the Third World War. If Naruto learns Flying Thunder God, think about what kind of existence it will be for other ninja villages. The Jinchuriki who masters Flying Thunder God is scary. Second, the village may have known that Mizuki has the intention to betray Konoha. So take this opportunity to let the village directly eliminate this hidden danger. With his superb IQ, July quickly figured out the trick. Since Sarutobi Hiruzen has already arranged the script, why doesn't July play a minor role in it? No matter how you think about it, it's a shame to travel through time this time. And July is also quite interested in the legendary Flying Thunder God. It's not that July wants to learn it, after all, she doesn't dare to use it even if she learns it. When the villagers ask what's going on, she can't even explain it clearly. Besides, Flying Thunder God conflicts with her existing combat system. July's combat system has always been centered around the bow and arrow, a long-range weapon. After all, in this era of ninjutsu flying all over the sky, you don't attack honestly from a distance. Foolishly, you run to the enemy with great difficulty to fight with him in front of him. Is your head filled with water? Speak of the devil, and July is thinking about it. Mizuki walked to Naruto and whispered something to Naruto. Naruto's eyes became brighter and brighter. Well, the script has begun. I have to go back and prepare myself. Without listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen's brainwashing speech, July rushed home. The first thing he did was to carve the mirror flower and water moon on his body. After 3 hours of hard work, the improved version of the mirror flower and water moon has been carved. The hiding effect is stronger. And the improved magic circle has been added. It is the magic circle system of analysis plus video recording. In this way, under the huge computing power of the magic circle, the surrounding environment can be scanned and deployed in real time. In this way, a small camouflage concealment barrier is formed around July. However, the energy demand of the barrier will increase with such real-time scanning and analysis. However, with the current amount of chakra in July, as long as there is no intense battle, maintaining for more than 10 hours is not a problem. Of course, there are still areas for improvement in this barrier. But at this stage, this is enough for the time being. Looking at the sky outside, it has become completely dark. After a quick meal, I opened the barrier and rushed to Naruto's house. I also tested the effect of the barrier on the way. I can only say it was very good. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening when we arrived downstairs of Naruto's house. July found a place and lay down to wait for Naruto's action at night. On the way, he saw a few figures swaying on the roofs of the surrounding houses from time to time. July thought, I said it, how could the Jinchuriki not be monitored by the Umbu? Maybe it was a shift change in the middle. The swaying figures quickly hid their tracks. Even July couldn't find their tracks after hiding. I can only say that they are worthy of being the Umbu. After waiting for another 2 hours, even the dog went to sleep. The only sound left was the hissing of insects, which was very hypnotic. Finally, the back window of Naruto's house was pushed open, and a small figure with golden hair jumped out from inside. He also closed the window very carefully. Then a few standard ninja jumps disappeared into the night. Looking at the direction, it was the Hokage building. July cheered up and hurriedly followed. As soon as he arrived at the downstairs of the Hokage building, he saw Naruto carrying a huge scroll. He ran towards the forest in the distance. July glanced upstairs and secretly complained. What a thin dog, he finished so quickly. July didn't dare to delay and hurried to catch up with Naruto. He ran for more than 10 minutes. Naruto finally stopped to rest. He couldn't wait to open the scroll quickly, and didn't notice that there was a sixth man hiding in the tree behind him. He was admiring the sealed book with him. Naruto read it one by one, and soon found the clone technique he had been thinking about. Multiple shadow clone technique. Then he read happily. And the ninjutsu before the multiple shadow clone technique recorded in the sealed book he opened was July's goal. Flying Thunder God technique. July had already the early one opened the auxiliary magic circle, Knowledge Treasure House. It was the magic circle that assisted in training before, which July named the Knowledge Treasure House. All the ninjutsu that Naruto had read before were recorded. Including the multiple shadow clone technique, I will slowly study it after returning. After the record of the Knowledge Treasure House is completed, July greased his feet and ran away directly. On the way back, he saw a lot of Umbu hiding in the trees. He couldn't help but pray for Mizuki in his heart. If you fall into the hands of the old men of the third generation, will you have a good end? In this way, no one discovered that in fact, in this place carefully planned by the third generation, an old man came secretly and left lightly. Chapter 13. After returning home, July removed the barrier on his body. He didn't even have time to sleep, and opened the knowledge treasure house to study the ninjutsu recorded before. However, July, who was familiar with the secret code and the technique, soon found that the ninjutsu recorded in the sealed book were all incorrect, or some secret code was nonsense, or some technique symbol was written incorrectly. It was a complete mess. As expected by July, the sealed book was tampered with. Now only Flying Thunder God and multiple shadow clones are left. There must be no problem with the shadow clones, and the third generation old man wanted Naruto to learn this ninjutsu. Then what about Flying Thunder God? Will it be complete and correct as I guessed before? Sort out your thoughts and clear out the useless ninjutsu from the knowledge treasure house. Start to check the Flying Thunder God technique. Flying Thunder God technique is a spacetime ninjutsu invented by the second generation. Soon, July finished reading. At least until now, July has not found any mistakes in the secret code and the symbols of the technique. Pick up the brush for writing the technique from the side and start trying to carve the runes of the Flying Thunder God mark. This is not a simple process. According to the record of the technique, the complete mark of the Flying Thunder God technique must be carved with at least thousands of runes. Unknowingly, 4 hours have passed. The sky outside is getting light. July, who is highly focused on the carving picture, just wants to lie on the bed and have a good sleep. However, with the help of the treasure house of knowledge, the carving is finally completed. I can't take care of other things, now the most important step is coming. That is to inject chakra into the technique and sense the corresponding space coordinates. If you can't sense it, then congratulations, you are isolated from the Flying Thunder God technique. Chakra is slowly injected into the technique, and the whole technique begins to slowly light up with golden light. With her eyes closed, July carefully sensed the changes in the surrounding time and space. Finally, in her consciousness, a small light spot lit up not far ahead. July opened her eyes excitedly and succeeded. The chakra technique was disconnected, and the light went out. July pasted the paper with the technique on the pillar in the living room. And she returned to the bedroom and began to sense the spatial coordinates of the living room. Soon, the light spot reappeared in her consciousness. July mobilized the chakra in her body and operated it in the way of Flying Thunder God. Whoosh reverse tilde July in the bedroom disappeared. To the pillar in the living room, July was sweating and holding the pillar and breathing heavily. Oh my God, there is no chakra. Fortunately, I didn't put this piece of paper far away. If it's 10 or 20 meters more, I think it will drain me dry. The consumption of Flying Thunder God's chakra depends entirely on the number and distance of your flight. July maintained her mirror flower and water moon all night. The Flying Thunder God technique consumed a lot of mental energy. Her chakra had already run out. Otherwise, with the distance from her bedroom to the living room, she wouldn't have needed to consume too much chakra. July, who felt a little better after a long rest, looked at the sky outside. It was already dawn. She couldn't sleep now, as there was an important ninja team division today. There was no other way, so she had to hold on. She put a few eggs in the pot and cooked them. And July sat on the bed and began to recover her chakra. However, she didn't have much mental energy, so the speed of extracting chakra dropped sharply. Until breakfast, she had only recovered a quarter of her chakra. July, who stayed up late for the first time, went to school with dark circles under her eyes. Shikamaru almost didn't recognize July when he saw her when he just entered the classroom. July's hair was messy and tied up casually, with heavy dark circles under her eyes. It was completely different from her usual delicate and beautiful appearance. Hey, it's just a class division. If it was you, you wouldn't be so excited that you couldn't sleep, right? July was extremely depressed now, and she miscalculated. What chakra recovery? She was already in poor spirits after staying up all night without sleep. After draining her mental energy, she was even worse. I'll sleep for a while, remember to call me when the class division comes. July fell asleep after saying that. Naruto, who wanted to come over to say hello and show concern, was suddenly at a loss. Naruto learned the multiple shadow clone technique according to the script last night. Then after Iruka blocked a blow for him, he showed his power and directly created hundreds of shadow clones. He beat Mizuki up, and then under Iruka's heartwarming witness, Naruto got the forehead protector and graduated successfully. Although Naruto usually competes with Sasuke in wits and courage, and has a good relationship with Kibashimaru and others, but he never came to take the initiative to tell Chiyue talk to July. Naruto, who has always been carefree, every time he sees July, he has countless things to say to her, but he backs off. This is not shyness, nor is it fear. Naruto dares to openly advertise that he likes Sakura everywhere. How can he know what shyness and fear are? Maybe this is the advantage of being innocent. July will definitely not be able to do it. In fact, this may be the same feeling as being afraid of being close to home, right? Naruto, who graduated successfully, mustered up his courage before coming. He must say a word to July before graduation. But now, at this time, Shikamaru jumped out and resolved Naruto's embarrassment. Hey, Naruto, didn't you fail the assessment? Why are you wearing a forehead protector now? The innocent mood comes and goes quickly. Hearing Shikamaru ask about himself, he immediately held his forehead protector with one hand, and happily expressed that he had successfully graduated through his own efforts. He was recognized by teacher Iruka and graduated successfully. He was now a glorious genin. Other friends who usually played well with Naruto also came to congratulate Naruto on his successful graduation. Because there was no class today, even if Iruka came, the students below were all very noisy. Especially Naruto. Iruka shouted several times to be quiet, but this guy was still making trouble. Iruka was so angry that he could only use Naruto as an example. He suppressed him with a hammer. In the end, the situation was under control. Iruka was holding the list of this class division. Shikamaru quickly called July up, waiting for Iruka's announcement. Class 1, members are Passerby Koga, Artillery Otami. Class 7, Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, Shinto Nanyue. As soon as Class 7 was announced, the classroom returned to its noisy state. Sasuke's female fans are jealous, especially Sakura. If you ask Ino, it's obvious. It's impossible to separate them from Ino, Deer, and Cho this time. Nanyue also has her own LSP fan club. It's just that these people are not well known. They are only the sixth in their own spiritual world. But they are protesting now, and the reason is very simple. Uzumaki Naruto. The last one in this class for 6 years, why should he be in the same class with Sasuke, the leader in strength, and Nanyue, the leader in appearance? He doesn't deserve it, he doesn't have the qualifications. Naruto, who was most likely to protest, seemed very quiet at this moment. Because she was in the same class with him. Even if the most annoying Sasuke is in the same class with me, it doesn't matter. Iruka slapped the table heavily. Be quiet, this is the decision made by the Hokage after careful consideration. No one can object to the change, that's it. Team 8, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, Abirame Shino. Team 9. Team 10, Nara Shikamaru, Akimichi Choji, Yamanaka Ino. Okay, the class division is over. Now wait for your team leader in the classroom. As soon as Iruka left, the friends who were assigned to the same class sat together. July was confused at this time, Chapter 14. July didn't understand the class division at all. Who is Uzumaki Naruto? The most important Ninetales Jinchuriki in Konoha village. Ever since the first Hokage left the strongest Ninetales in Konoha. The Ninetales has always been Konoha's most important asset and war deterrent. A detailed account of the treatment of the East Jinchuriki. The first Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Mito. She is the wife of the first Hokage. The Uzumaki clan is most famous for its strong physique and the best sealing technique in the ninja world. Why did the Whirlpool country be destroyed? July speculated from the few remaining records in the library. It was because of the strong physique and sealing technique. There is at least one tailed beast in every famous ninja village. Ninja villages in countries without tailed beasts are inferior to others in terms of strength. So they can only rely on strong countries or ninja villages. How to deal with the tailed beasts in each village has become the first problem. The ninja villages under the 5 great countries all have their own unique ways of dealing with things. But none of these methods are as perfect as the sealing technique of the whirlpool country. They all have to pay attention to the changes of the tailed beasts and the Jinchuriki at all times. If they lose their concentration, the tailed beasts will break free from the seal. That will bring a great disaster to the entire village and even the country. Before the 4th generation, Konoha had never suffered the disaster of the tailed beasts. It's not just because of the strength of the 1st generation of Hokage. The key lies in their choice of Jinchuriki. Since then, the Uzumaki clan has entered the sight of various countries and ninja villages. The Uzumaki clan plus sealing technique can completely suppress the tailed beasts. Don't give the tailed beasts any chance to come out. For this reason, the War of Destruction of the Whirlpool country began. That was the period when the 3rd generation was in power. Originally, the Whirlpool country and Konoha had a very good alliance relationship. But in the end, the Whirlpool country was destroyed. The 3rd generation of Hokage only brought a little girl from the Whirlpool country. She is the 2nd generation Jinchuriki, the princess of the fallen country, Uzumaki Kushina. The 1st generation Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Mido, endured for several years. When the Jinchuriki was handed over, he gave the last order. That is to completely disband the Senju clan and let them infiltrate the civilians. Since then, the Senju clan, which had been glorious for hundreds of years since the Warring States period, disappeared from everyone's sight. And now it is the 3rd generation Jinchuriki. That is Uzumaki Naruto. If the village or the old fox Sarutobi Hiruzen does not take any measures to prepare, July dares to take off his head and kick it like a ball. But she can't figure it out. Why? She can understand Uchiha Sasuke, because the village has long been rumored that the Nine Tails is controlled by the Sharingan. That's why the Uchiha clan is hated by so many people in the village. The ninjas of the Uchiha clan are placed in this class in order to have the ability to control the Nine Tails. But what about herself? An unknown family's only seedling. In the end, he is just a commoner. He slacks off every day, and his actual combat performance is average. The words he has said to Sasuke can be counted on 2 hands. Naruto, haha. He has never said a word. What is his role in this class? Vase. His reverse tilde yes, vase. In the original work, Haruno Sakura was arranged to be a vase. But Naruto has always liked Sakura just like in the original work. Shouldn't Sakura be arranged to be in the class? Fuck, is it because I am too beautiful? So I am more of a vase than Haruno Sakura, the vase, so I arranged it like this. July's fist hardened immediately. The 3rd generation old man Sarutobi Hiruzen, a perverted voyeur. You wait, I will kill you if I have a chance. July has never had such a strong desire to kill someone in her past and present lives. But is the truth really like this? Let's go back to last night, when Naruto was symbolically taken to the old men of the 3rd generation. Iruka has been sent to heal his wounds. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen and Naruto were left in the office. The two chatted for a long time. Finally, Naruto realized his mistake. Sarutobi Hiruzen untied Naruto's restraints. Naruto, since you have learned the shadow clone technique, which is more advanced than the clone technique. Iruka also recognizes your identity as a ninja, then congratulations, you are now a formal ninja in Konoha village. Tomorrow we will be divided into classes, tell Grandpa. What is your dream? Naruto heard Sarutobi Hiruzen happily asking about his dream, and then happily answered. My dream is to become a Hokage and be recognized by everyone. And work hard to become stronger to protect July and his companions in the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen had a black question mark face. July. Shinto July. What's the matter with Xiao July? Doesn't Naruto like Sakura? Something seems to be wrong, listen again. Naruto nodded heavily. Because when I was very young, July once stood firmly in front of me to protect me. So I swore since I was a child that I must repay July when I have the ability. Naruto, don't you like Sakura? This time it was Naruto's turn to ask a question. Grandpa Sandame, is there any conflict between liking Sakura and protecting July? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned by Naruto's words. How could he say such a scumbag? Is 12 years old still young? It seems that she is naive. Thinking of this, Sarutobi smiled immediately. Simple is good. The simpler, the easier to control. After listening to Naruto's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen hurried back to adjust the class division plan. Can the love of children nowadays be called love? The desire to protect others is the driving force for the strong to become stronger. July never thought that it was Naruto who stabbed her in the back. As expected, the teammates of the saint are terrible. Since there is no way to avoid it, then let it be. Even if I go to Sarutobi Hiruzen, he will never agree. Once this is done, who will believe in the Hokage in the future? People in the class were led away one after another, and in a blink of an eye, only Naruto and the other three were left in the lively classroom. Sasuke took the initiative to speak for the first time in a long time, but he was full of sarcasm as soon as he opened his mouth. And it was full of second-year information. Listen carefully, you two. I am an Avenger, I don't have time to play ninja house games with you. From now on, I will be the vice-captain of this team. Except for the leading Jonin, you must listen to me. Naruto, who loves to go against Sasuke, was very dissatisfied. Humph, you arrogant fellow. Do you want me, Uzumaki Naruto, to listen to you? No way. Why don't you listen to me? Does the last one have the right to speak? When have you ever been able to beat me in actual combat? Seventh Moon is at least better than me in theoretical knowledge. You are the last one in the team. You are born to obey us. How should I put it? Seventh Moon can foresee the life of her team in the future. It will never be quiet. 1 hour, 2 hours. After waiting for a long time, her team leader did not come. Naruto picked up the blackboard eraser on the podium and set a trap at the door. He wanted to teach the late Jonin a lesson. Sasuke said childishly, and then continued to sit there and act cool. Seventh Moon fell asleep happily. It was almost noon, and the team leader came. As soon as the door was opened, Naruto's trap was triggered. The blackboard eraser hit the silver hair. Naruto laughed loudly beside him, while Sasuke had no expression on his face. He might be thinking that this Jonin couldn't even avoid such a simple trap. How could he help me become stronger? My future is dark. Naruto's laughter woke up July, who rubbed her eyes and looked towards the door. She looked closely and saw that it was the ninja brother Hatake Kakashi who had taken her back to her hometown. Brother, you are still so late. Are you going to treat us to lunch? You are so nice. He just gave me a nice guy card right away. Who made him offend me because of being late before? Kakashi looked at the three people in front of him helplessly. To be honest, when I first saw you, I had a bad impression of you. Naruto couldn't help but yell beside him. Who made you so late, teacher? Kakashi touched his head. Oh, I accidentally got lost on the road of life when I came here. Okay, let's go to the rooftop. Let's get to know each other. After saying that, he disappeared in an instant. July stood up, stretched, and slowly went out from the back door. And Sasuke, like the hyperactive patient, opened the window beside him and jumped onto the rooftop. Naruto followed suit and jumped up with Sasuke. When July arrived at the rooftop, they were already waiting there. Kakashi saw that everyone was there and began to introduce himself. I am your team leader, Kakashi Hatake. I don't have any hobbies, but I hate a lot of things. Okay, the introduction is over. It's your turn. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other. What's this damn sense of déjà vu? Turning around, I saw July yawning. I remembered July's self-introduction. Well, that's about it. I don't know anything except my name. Naruto spoke first, and gave a classic introduction. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like Ichiraku's ramen. I hate Sasuke. My dream is to become a Hokage. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I like sweets. I hate Uzumaki Naruto. My dream is to kill that amen. Naruto suddenly felt cold all over, thinking that Sasuke would not kill him. After all, he just said that he hated me. Kakashi knew who Sasuke was talking about, Uchiha Itachi, the S-level rebel ninja of Konoha. I didn't expect that he would be trapped in the vortex of hatred at such a young age. Obito, how can I lead this member of your clan back to the right path? Is July. Shinto July, likes new things, hates Hatake Kakashi. That's it. Chapter 15. After July finished speaking, the scene became very awkward. Even the middle school Sasuke didn't care about being cool. I couldn't help but admire her in my heart, she was really brave. She said she hated him in front of the instructor. Isn't this the same as turning the table when the leader picked up the food? They were both looking for death. Sasuke's impression of July was that she was quite quiet and rational. Why did she suddenly become so reckless? A reckless man. More reckless than the one to him. Hearing July say that she hated him, he remembered the scene when they first met. Okay, I understand. It's my fault, so it's okay. Just take the blame. Okay, the self-introduction session is over. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, at the number 13 training ground, I will test you. If you fail, you will be sent back to the ninja school. Remember not to eat breakfast, disband. Before Naruto could say anything, Kakashi disappeared. He didn't want to explain too much. July knew this would happen. Seeing Kakashi had left, he stood up and prepared to leave. But Naruto stopped him and stretched out his evil hand to July. July, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. You can call me Naruto. Please take care of me in the future. The gears of fate have turned, and he can't hide now. In this case, he might as well try to see if he can cure this saint. Just call me July. The two hands were held together. A historic scene was officially born. The more beautiful the atmosphere, the more there are atmosphere destroyers. Look, Sasuke directly interrupted Naruto's excitement. Do you understand what I said before? Don't hold me back in tomorrow's test. July didn't care about Sasuke's character, anyway, he didn't want to be the first to stand out. But Naruto didn't think so, and the two of them quarreled again. Damn Kakashi, not only was he late for so long, he didn't even treat me to lunch. Forget it, I'll buy something for myself when I pass by the commercial street. After eating, I'll go home and sleep. After all, there's a good show to watch tomorrow. After eating, July didn't fall asleep when she got home. Instead, she continued to study Flying Thunder God. She wanted to test the limit consumption of Flying Thunder God. She first tested it at various locations in her home, and the consumption of chakra was acceptable. Then she ran into the Death Forest alone. She put down the spell at a distance of 1 mile. Then she activated the Flying Thunder God technique. Feeling the consumption of chakra in the body, it can go further according to the estimate. Then she put the spell at a distance of 1 kilometer. Activate Flying Thunder God again, and this time July experienced the same situation as in the early morning. Well, according to my current chakra calculation, the limit distance of my own Flying Thunder God is about 2 kilometers. Within 1 kilometer, the number of Flying Thunder God should be about 10 times. Considering the speed of chakra recovery, the limit is 11 times. Within a range of 50 meters, I can fly infinitely. Okay, the Moonlight Infinite Chain is now complete. But what bothers July is that she can't use the ultimate move casually. Before there is an equal contribution, this move should be sealed. But although I can't use it now, I can study it. I heard that the 4th Hokage used Flying Thunder God to transfer the Tailed Beast Ball. Although July doesn't know what the Tailed Beast Ball is, the survivors who experienced the Nine Tails Rebellion described to her the scene when the Tailed Beast Ball exploded. It is speculated that it may be about the same as the explosion range of a medium-sized missile. As for the power, it may be average. After all, I have never found any traces of the explosion. If the power is greater, I may not survive. The current research direction is to simplify the Flying Thunder God technique. After all, this is a very primitive version. It was recorded in the book when the 2nd Hokage just developed it. There is no subsequent improved version, or if there is an improved version, it is just recorded in the real seal book. Now she can only explore it little by little like a pony crossing a river. Although it cannot be used in front of others, it is not too much to put a mark at home. If you don't want to walk home one day, find a place where no one is and fly back directly, very beaver. I studied until more than 8 o'clock in the evening, and my stomach was growling. July stopped studying and went to bed directly after dinner. These 2 days have been enough. If I don't sleep, I will die. With a good biological clock, July woke up at 6:30. She remembered that Kakashi said it was 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I'm done. I cleaned up hastily and took out a bread. He ran quickly towards the number 13 training ground. It would have been fine if he had just put a mark on the number 13 training ground yesterday. But when July arrived at the training ground, he saw Sasuke and Naruto. But he didn't see Kakashi. He looked at the two people who were sitting on the ground listlessly. July hurried over to ask what was going on. But the answer he got was that Kakashi didn't come at all. They had been waiting here for more than an hour. July patted his chest, which had already taken shape, and breathed a long sigh of relief. Oh, I was scared to death. It's good that he didn't come. I'm sorry, I got up late this morning. Have you eaten? If not, I still have some bread left. Do you want to eat? Sasuke was fine, but Naruto's stomach was rumbling. But July, didn't Kakashi teacher say that we shouldn't have breakfast? But the words petrified Sasuke and Naruto instantly. I remember that Kakashi teacher seemed to suggest that we had better not have breakfast. Didn't he say that we must not have breakfast? Didn't you recall the scene at that time? Thinking back to what Kakashi said yesterday and the tone of his voice at that time, it seemed that it was indeed a suggestion, not a request. In order to hide their embarrassment, the two could only sit back silently. One continued to act cool and aloof, while the other drew circles on the ground out of boredom. July saw this, in order not to offend the two. He could only divide the bread and give one portion to the two people. Then he sat with them and waited for Kakashi to come. When Kakashi appeared in front of the three again, it was already close to noon. Sasuke clenched his fists and seemed to be ready to move, while Naruto loudly questioned Kakashi why he was late again. On the other hand, July, just doesn't get used to bad habits. 100 changes armament, Black Xuanyue. Hatake Kakashi, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation, otherwise it's either you or I who will die today. July gritted his teeth and a huge chakra arrow quickly formed on the fully drawn longbow. The hair of Sasuke and Naruto to him was blown up by the chakra burst of July. And Kakashi on the opposite side was sweating coldly. The momentum exuded by the chakra arrow. Even I, who was close to the level of Kage, felt the threat. I called out in my heart, what kind of monster is this? Didn't they say that Shinto July's ninja talent was average? Kakashi didn't know how the longbow appeared just now. Kakashi quickly jumped back to distance himself and explained hurriedly. Shinto Nanyue, calm down, calm down. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been late for so long. Hurry up and disperse the jutsu in your hand. You have to think about the consequences, in case you accidentally hurt or kill me. You will also be hunted by Konoha. Kakashi no longer cares about face. He doesn't even think about what he says. Naruto and Sasuke also jumped out to stop the furious Nanyue. In fact, this is all Nanyue's acting. The chakra arrow condensed in his hand looks amazing. But it's just an empty shell, how can it hurt Kakashi? Appropriately reveal your strength and trump card. That's what smart people do. Otherwise, if the play of pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger lasts for a long time, you may become the pig. Chapter 16. July slowly dispersed her chakra, and the surroundings slowly returned to calm. But some of July's anger was not acting. I was more than half an hour late, it was my fault, I sincerely apologize. She would accept any punishment. But Kakashi was 5 hours late, and it was obviously intentional. How could she tolerate this? Kakashi saw that July had dispersed his attack. He quickly ran to the three people. Actually, this is also my test for you. You know, when ninjas are on a mission, they have to endure what ordinary people can't endure. I do this to test your character. Okay, let me be frank. Don't think the assessment will be easy. What I said yesterday was true. If you can't pass my test, you will really be sent back to the ninja school. Before this, I led several classes, and I sent them back. So my elimination rate is 100%. While Kakashi was still saying this, in a barbecue restaurant in Konoha, the 10th team, which had passed the test, was celebrating. I don't know who started it, but they talked about Kakashi. Sarutobi Asuma started to introduce Kakashi with a serious face. Kakashi, Konoha's genius ninja. He became a jonin at the age of 12. As for him, the old man also let him lead several classes of genin, but without exception, all of them were sent back to school by this guy. The elimination rate is 100% so far. So Team 7 is unlucky. Those 3 children will most likely be sent back to the ninja school by Kakashi. Shikamaru has a different opinion. I can't say for sure about Sasuke and Naruto, but I always feel that July is not simple. If someone can pass Kakashi's test, I think it will be her. Beside him, Ino, Choji didn't expect Shikamaru to think so. After all, after hearing about Kakashi, he still believed in July so much. Ino took the opportunity to touch Shikamaru with her elbow. Oh Shikamaru, I never thought that you usually say that beautiful women are troublesome. It turns out that July is so important to you. Sasuke is obviously stronger than July, so it must be Sasuke who passed. Shikamaru didn't dwell on this issue too much. But Asuma was interested in Shikamaru's words. Although Shikamaru is still young, he is the child of Lord Narashikaku. It's impossible for him to make up stories. He must have discovered something. Back at the number 13 training ground, Kakashi's words did not make the 3 retreat. He first took out an alarm clock and placed it on the wooden stake to him. Then he took out 2 more bells and shook them. Okay, my test is, no matter what method you use. Grab the bell in my hand. The time is set before 12 o'clock. If you don't grab the bell before the alarm rings, then you all have to go back to the ninja school and repeat a year. Naruto instantly found the highlight. Teacher Kakashi, you're missing a bell. There are 3 of us. Of course, whoever grabs it will pass. The one who doesn't will be sent back to school. Okay, come with the determination to kill me. As soon as he finished speaking, Sasuke threw out the shuriken. All the shurikens pierced into Kakashi's body, and blood spurted out. Naruto was frightened by the scene in front of him. Sasuke, did you kill Teacher Kakashi? With a bang, Kakashi, who was pierced like a sieve in front of him, turned into a piece of wood. And he himself swung his leg and knocked Sasuke down. He stepped on Sasuke's head with his foot and sat on Sasuke's back. Don't worry, I haven't shouted start yet. The situation in front of him exceeded the processing speed of Naruto's CPU. He was still complaining that Sasuke was too heavy-handed and killed Kakashi in the last second. The second, Kakashi knocked Sasuke to the ground. Sasuke, whose head was stepped on, was now furious. But no matter how he resisted, Kakashi on his back was like a mountain, pressing him tightly and making him unable to move. As if he felt Sasuke's struggle under his buttocks, Kakashi stood up. He took out a book from the ninja tool bag behind him. He opened the book in front of everyone and shouted to start. July and Sasuke quickly jumped into the forest behind them. But Naruto stood there carelessly. Huh, it's just a small test. I'll knock you down now and grab the bell. Multiple shadow clone technique. 40 or 50 Naruto appeared in the open field at once. Then they rushed towards Kakashi together. Kakashi sighed while reading a book. He easily dealt with Naruto's attacks. July, who was hiding in the tree, could actually attack right now. But Kakashi, who seemed to be full of flaws, always made July feel like a sharp edge piercing his back. So July did not attack blindly, and the magic circle of the treasure house of knowledge appeared in front of his left eye. He stared at Kakashi closely to find the best time to attack. Soon, Naruto's clones on the field were cleared by Kakashi. Naruto, now I will teach you one of the ninja battle experience, physical skills. Kakashi put his hands together in the tiger seal and appeared behind Naruto. The secret of Konoha ninjutsu, the secret of physical skills, 1,000 years without diarrhea. The finger of the tiger seal suddenly pierced into an unspeakable part. Naruto was stabbed and flew out 800 meters away. Whether it was July in the tree or Sasuke hiding in the dark, they were all shocked by Kakashi's shameless tricks and were speechless. Seeing that Naruto was no longer effective, Sasuke jumped out in a hurry. He quickly formed seals with both hands, and then his chest bulged visibly. Fire escape, great fireball technique. From Sasuke's mouth, a large fireball with a diameter of more than 2 meters blew out. A large pit was burned out on the ground in an instant, but Kakashi's figure disappeared. Sasuke frantically looked for Kakashi's traces everywhere. A pair of hands suddenly appeared under Sasuke's feet. Sasuke wanted to jump away, but it was obviously too late. Kakashi's hands had already grabbed his feet. Earth escape, the technique of beheading in the heart. Sasuke was directly pulled into the ground, with only his head exposed. Second experience of ninja battle, ninjutsu. I was careless, Sasuke. Damn, is there only July left now? People just don't know how to talk. Just after he finished talking about July, 3 arrows flew towards Kakashi in a triangular shape in the distance. Kakashi dodged quickly, and before he could see the situation around him clearly. Several more arrows were fired, and Naruto, who had just flown out, had returned. A large number of shadow clones attacked Kakashi. On Sasuke's side, an arrow suddenly exploded 5 meters in front of him. He felt a thrust coming from the ground under his feet. It directly pushed him out of the soil. Sasuke, who had escaped from the trap, looked at the direction where the arrow flew from and nodded. Then he directly joined the battlefield and competed with Kakashi in physical skills. If it was just Naruto and Sasuke's attacks, Kakashi could actually handle it. But July's arrows kept harassing him. You can't let him catch the arrows with his bare hands. As a last resort, Kakashi put away the little book in his hand. Instead, he drew out a kunai. While dealing with the attacks of Sasuke and Naruto, he used a kunai to block July's arrows. Kakashi felt trouble for the first time. Chakra burst out suddenly, and one punch knocked Sasuke and Naruto unconscious. July, who had not appeared, suddenly appeared in front of Kakashi. Teacher Kakashi, time is running out, I'll go first. Then the longbow in his hand turned into a tang sword. July's cold weapon level has reached the master level. When the tang sword was swung, even Kakashi was forced to retreat repeatedly. July's mouth curled up slightly, and Kakashi thought it was not good. There was a sudden resistance from his hands and feet. It seemed that he was entangled by the rope. He tried hard to break free, but this was the opportunity at this moment. July caught him, and the 2 bells were pulled down. It was too late for Kakashi to break free at this time. He rubbed his hair hard, and he didn't understand what the resistance was just now. Congratulations, July. You got the bell. What happened to my hands and feet just now? Why can't I move them suddenly? July raised her right hand, and saw strands of steel wire with chakra attached to it. Kakashi turned around and looked behind him. He immediately understood what was going on. Sasuke and Naruto also woke up at this time. He looked at the bell in July's hand in surprise. Kakashi smiled at July. Well, July, now is the time to choose. There are only 2 bells. Do you choose to give it to Sasuke or Naruto? Chapter 17. Kakashi mentioned the ultimate purpose of this assessment. He wanted to see what choice the little girl who had caused him trouble would make. In fact, July didn't want to make a choice at all. After more than 20 years of cultivation in the ES life, of course she wanted everything. But here, it was obviously unreasonable to choose everything. There was no choice, so she directly distributed the bells to Naruto and Sasuke, who were still in shock. She disarmed herself and bowed to Kakashi. Nice to meet you, then I'm leaving. After saying that, she strode away without any nostalgia. It didn't matter to July whether she was a ninja or not to mention that she was only 1 year later. And it was a good opportunity to leave the team. Transfer Sakura back and restore the configuration before Team 7. This will make Kakashi unable to deal with it. It's not that I just want to test your teamwork. Why are we going our separate ways now? Don't mess with me, this class is the class that the 3rd generation pays special attention to. If this fails inexplicably, won't the 3rd Hokage kill himself? But before Kakashi could stop him, Naruto moved first. He threw the bell directly to Kakashi. Teacher Kakashi, since July can't pass the test, I who just fainted can't do it either. After saying that, he caught up with July, who looked at Naruto with confusion. Why are you following me? Seeing Naruto like this, Sasuke also returned the bell to Kakashi. Humph, I don't need charity from others. Give her what she gets. After saying that, he also followed the two people in front. July turned his head and looked at Sasuke again. What are you doing again? July was numb. I'm not still fantasizing about getting rid of you. Why are you all following me one by one? Sasuke snorted proudly, and Naruto just touched his head and smiled foolishly. Kakashi's heart also rose from the bottom of the valley. Great, this is the teamwork I want to see, cherishing companions. Seeing that the three people have already walked to the gate of the training ground, Kakashi quickly stopped the three people with a flash. Congratulations, you have passed. The three people collectively had question marks on their faces. In the world of ninjas, people who do not abide by the rules and break the rules will be called trash. But people who do not cherish their companions are even worse than trash. July didn't feel anything about this sentence, but it made sense. Some rules are indeed meant to be broken. But Naruto was moved by this passionate speech. You are right, I will definitely protect and cherish my companions. Sasuke heard that he passed the test, and the corners of his mouth showed an unnatural smile. July, I have a question for you. Although you relied on the attacks of Sasuke and the other two to set up the plan, it was you who finally grabbed the bell. Why did you give them the bell without hesitation? Aren't you afraid of going back to school? July didn't expect Kakashi to ask this question. I don't care, it doesn't matter if it's 1 year earlier or later. One of them wants to kill someone, and the other wants to be a Hokage. These all require strength and foundation. I understand that school can no longer play any role for them. So it's easy to do it either way, it's better to give someone a rose and have the fragrance linger on your hands. Naruto was moved to tears, he didn't expect July to understand him so well. Even Sasuke didn't expect that there would be someone who cared about him. Kakashi was quite satisfied with this answer, and even saw a little bit of his own shadow in July. It's about the feeling of being a salted fish. Okay, as compensation for being late today, and to celebrate the official establishment of Team 7. Let's have a barbecue. Kakashi felt that he had to treat them to this meal, as he had not forgotten the scene at the beginning when July was furious. He had the responsibility to restore the impression of his teammates on him. The three of them happily followed Kakashi to the barbecue restaurant. Unexpectedly, they met acquaintances in the barbecue restaurant, Team 8 and Team 10. Kakashi greeted Asuma and Yuhi Kurenai as he entered the door. He greeted the boss and shared a table. Adults looked for adults, and children looked for children. Everyone knew each other. Kurenai asked Kakashi jokingly. Oh, our Kakashi actually brought students. I didn't expect you would let them pass your perverted drill. Kakashi smiled. Kurenai, they are all excellent, there is no reason for me not to let them pass. But you two are really inseparable now. Kurenai and Asuma looked at each other. Quickly turned his head away. In July, Sasuke had been occupied by Sakura and Ino. And Minghe followed Sakura and showed his affection. Saint, dog licker, love brain. 3 most annoying words in the ES life. They are fully reflected in Naruto. I should stay away from him in the future. Want to make him right? July said that he couldn't bend him at all. He is the ancestor, I don't even have time to hide. Inuzuka Kiba also greeted Naruto with a smile. Naruto, you guys are too lame. We passed the test a long time ago, and even completed a D-level mission in the morning. Naruto was very unconvinced. Humph, it's all Kakashi's fault. He asked us to gather at 6 o'clock. We came at 11 o'clock. Otherwise, we would have passed the level a long time ago, and even completed one more mission than you. The main point is that he is stubborn. July sat to Choji for these 6 years. She likes to sit to Choji, there is no other reason. Sitting to Choji, there is meat to eat. Looking at the various meats densely placed on the iron net in front. What else is there to say, just eat it and it's done. Choji only has a desire to protect the meat he has already picked up, and does not touch this taboo. He is still very generous. Shikamaru sat opposite and looked at the 2 foodies in front of him. Just now I heard Asuma talk about your situation as a jonin. Is the test difficult? July was actually confused about this test. I don't know, it's just grabbing the bell, whoever doesn't grab the 2 bells will quit. I grabbed it and gave it to those 2 guys. Then I passed the test inexplicably. July can be said to have concise words to the extreme, even with Shikamaru's IQ. He just barely understood. Kakashi was also asked about the test. In fact, Kakashi is still surprised by July's strength. Even if he didn't take it seriously, it was not something a newly graduated genin could handle. How should I put it? Shintochi-ue is quite interesting. I feel it will be very interesting in the future. Hong and Asuma wanted to ask for specific details, but Kakashi kept silent. A pleasant dinner ended. In the afternoon, Kakashi received several D-level tasks from the task hall. The content of the D-level tasks is very simple, all of which are commissioned tasks in the village. Like weeding, cleaning up garbage, finding cats and dogs. 2 months passed in a flash. Chiyue is quite satisfied with her current ninja life, and her strength is slowly improving. Constrained by her body and age, for the future. You can't squeeze your body. Chiyue's current direction is to focus on those small ninjutsu, studying how to integrate these ninjutsu into her own combat system. But for Naruto and Sasuke, they feel that their current life is a waste of their lives. Naruto clamors to take high-level tasks every day. At first, Kakashi was able to calm the 2 people, but time went by. They didn't want to listen to Kakashi's nonsense anymore. Now it's Sarutobi Hiruzen again. This is the 4th time he has come to the Hokage's office this week. July doesn't want to deal with this wretched perverted old man. Just standing by and emptying himself, Sasuke didn't say anything. But he stood firmly beside Naruto and showed his attitude. Kakashi could only smile helplessly. Little Naruto, if a ninja wants to take on high-level tasks, they need a little bit of accumulation. The tasks you have completed now are actually training you. Naruto doesn't care about that. 3rd-generation grandfather, how can cleaning up garbage and pulling weeds help improve strength? I don't care, I want to take the B-level ones. This is Sarutobi Hiruzen taking out a scroll from the drawer. Naruto, only Chunin and above are eligible to take B-level missions. There is a C-level escort mission here, and the client hasn't left yet. Since you want a high-level mission, then this mission will be handed over to your Kakashi class. Naruto took the commission document with surprise and showed off to Sasuke Nanayo. Finally there is a decent mission, Yoshi, let's do it. Kakashi quickly snatched the scroll from Naruto and looked at the content of the mission. A simple escort mission, okay. It's time to increase their strength. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand, and a drunken 4-eyed uncle walked out of the door to him. Even if the Hokage was in front of him, he picked up the bottle and took a big sip without hesitation. Okay, let's meet the client of the mission. Mr. Dazna. The uncle named Dazna looked at Kakashi and the others. Then he burped a lot. Hokage-sama, I want real ninjas to protect me. Are you sure they are ninjas? Only the one with white hair is useful. Naruto, the powder keg, always rushes to the front line. Damn, you drunkard. We are the real ninjas. Don't underestimate us. Sasuke also snorted coldly, as if he couldn't speak except snorting. Dazna took another sip of wine and taunted the whole audience. You are a ninja when you are so short. Don't be ridiculous. And that little girl over there, a child star model. Can she fight dressed like that? Among the 3, only Sasuke was not personally attacked. July was still emptying himself, explaining. What's the use of explaining? If explaining is useful, what's the use of ninjas? Naruto rolled up his sleeves angrily and wanted to punch Dazna. But he was held down by Kakashi, who then said to Dazna with a smile. Mr. Dazna, please rest assured, they are all very good ninjas. They are also my students. And this mission, there is also a jonin like me. I think you can rest assured now. Alas, I can only say when the service industry can stand up. Kakashi is such an awesome jonin, but for a mere C-level mission, he yelled, you. He had to explain patiently with a smile. Sarutobi Hiruzen stopped this farce. Mr. Dazna, the reputation of our Konoha should be pretty good, right? Don't worry, we won't arrange the staff randomly. Kakashi, this mission will be handed over to you, Team 7. Chapter 18. Along the way, Naruto kept making noises. Either he was arguing with Sasuke or with Dasna. July was curious, wouldn't Naruto be tired? She didn't know how other people felt, she had already closed her hearing. She was afraid that if she continued to listen, she might suffer from neurasthenia. A small puddle in the middle of the originally flat road caught July's attention. She glanced at Kakashi and Sasuke and found that they were both tense. Only Naruto didn't react. July slowly moved closer to Dasna. Kakashi just stepped over the puddle when he unexpectedly appeared. The puddle suddenly turned into two figures, one holding a long chain, and the blade at the other end of the chain had cut Kakashi in half. The other one with a hideous face slashed at Dasna with a knife. July, who had already noticed the clues, armed himself instantly. A spear blocked the attack, and a backhanded upward thrust. The weapon switched to a katana, and an IAI sword was drawn. The attacker had his throat cut and died. The men who attacked Kakashi turned and slashed at Naruto, but was blocked by Sasuke. Under Sasuke's attack, the men didn't last long before he was taken down. Naruto was stunned in the spot. He didn't understand why he was fine just now. How did two people suddenly emerge from the puddle, and Kakashi was also chopped in half? Dasna was also frightened and collapsed to the ground at this time. The weapon of the men just now was only 1 centimeter away from his eyes. He thought he was dead. Naruto quickly turned around to check on Kakashi, but there was no sign of Kakashi. There were only 2 broken pieces of wood lying there. Kakashi jumped down from the tree to him at the right time. Sasuke, July. Good job. A good target to protect. I'm sorry, Naruto, I didn't protect you in the first place. But I didn't expect you to be scared and dare not move. Such poor acting skills, July couldn't bear to watch. But Naruto, who has no brains, likes to be fooled. Don't look down on people. After saying that, he ran to the person killed by July. He picked up the kunai on the ground and stabbed the back of his hand. I swear with the pain of my left hand that I will try my best to protect the uncle. July walked behind Naruto and patted his shoulder. Naruto, don't you know not to let strangers' weapons hurt you casually? Look at the color of your blood, this kunai seems to be smeared with poison. If you keep going like this, you may not be able to protect the uncle. Naruto was petrified on the spot after hearing this. Sasuke cursed an idiot. Kakashi smiled awkwardly and stopped July. Wanted July to treat Naruto as wound. July refused directly, saying that stupidity can be contagious. Especially through blood. In the end, it was Sasuke who treated Naruto as wound, and July was with Kakashi. Questioned Dasna. Mr. Dasna, it seems that you are hiding something from us. Sea-level mission, the commission does not involve fighting between ninjas. But the target of those 2 people just now was obviously coming for you. Don't you want to explain to us? Faced with Kakashi's question, Dasna obviously became extremely flustered. He hesitated and wanted to say something. After treating the wound, Naruto and Sasuke also came up. Naruto didn't understand the rules of the mission. He just wanted to ask why everyone was able to respond to the attack so quickly just now. As if he knew it in advance. Sasuke crossed his arms and answered Naruto's doubts. You idiot, it hasn't rained in the past few days. How come there are puddles on the road? Such an obvious flaw, only you, the last one, can't notice it. After listening to Sasuke's explanation, Naruto suddenly realized it. But questions followed one after another. But does this conflict with our mission? Sasuke didn't want to explain to this idiot anymore, talking to him made him look stupid. Kakashi saw that Nana and Sasuke didn't want to talk, so he could only repeat what he had said before. Sea-level missions don't involve fighting between ninjas. Naruto, go back and review the school courses. Dasna saw that he couldn't hide the matter anymore. He could only tell the whole story from beginning to end. I know it's wrong for me to conceal the information, but I can't help it. This commission is all the money we can afford. If something unexpected happens to me this time, this bridge will never be built. The hope of our country will be completely destroyed, and the people of the entire wave country will be in trouble again. We'll return to the dire situation. Naruto and Sasuke felt very sympathetic to Dasna after hearing this, and Kakashi also wanted to help Dazna rescue the people of Wave Country. But he was not alone after all, he had to be responsible for the 3 little guys around him. I understand the situation, what do you think? Continue the mission, or give up the mission and go back. Don't worry, I will explain to the Hokage after I go back, and it will not affect your mission completion rate. After Kakashi finished speaking, Dazna looked at July and the other 2 pleadingly. Especially July, who just saved him. Give him enough sense of security. As long as they agree, this mission will definitely succeed. Naruto and Sasuke had no objection. Now only July is left. Teacher Kakashi, since you know the difficulty of this mission, will the level of the mission be upgraded after you go back? It doesn't matter whether it's money or not. Is the mission contribution based on the sea-level standard or the standard after the level is re-estimated? These are what July wants to know. The mission reward depends on whether the client is willing to make up the difference after the mission is re-estimated. As for the contribution, don't worry, it will all be recorded according to the level after the re-estimate. July nodded. Then I'm fine, it's up to you guys. I'm fine with whatever I do. Soon the 4 of them reached a consensus and the mission continued. Along the way, Naruto stopped making noises. He was cautiously on guard against the surroundings. When there was a little movement, Naruto threw out the kunai shuriken. He had just killed a hedgehog here, and there was movement on the other side. Naruto used the kunai instantly. A snow-white rabbit died at the hands of Naruto. The moment he saw the rabbit, Kakashi became alert instantly. July also looked at the rabbit in Naruto's hand in confusion. According to the law of survival and evolution among animals, the hair of animals like wild rabbits is adjusted in color according to the environment. How could a snow-white rabbit appear in an environment surrounded by forests? It seems that this rabbit does not conform to the characteristics of albinism. Considering Kakashi's nervous expression, this rabbit is likely to be the product of the substitution technique. That means there is indeed someone in that place just now. And the person who can use the substitution technique so quickly and naturally should not be simple. Just as July was still sorting out the clues, a large sword as long as a person spun and attacked everyone. Kakashi shouted to lie down, and July hurriedly threw Dazna behind him to the ground. The sword cut deeply into the tree not far away. A strange man with a naked upper body and a face full of bandages was standing on the handle of the sword. Kakashi stood up quickly, and Naruto and Sasuke also quickly surrounded Dazna. Ah, isn't this the escaped ninja of the Mist Ninja, Momochi Zabuza-san? Kakashi spoke in a relaxed tone, making Naruto and Sasuke think that the enemy was not strong. Just when he was about to attack, he was stopped by Kakashi. Listen, this is not an enemy you can deal with. You guys protect Dazna, I'll take care of this guy. But Naruto wanted to say something but was interrupted by Kakashi. Don't worry, the teacher is very strong. I won't let my companions get hurt in front of me. Chiyue curled her lips. Kakashi, if you have the guts, say what you just said to Naruto's left hand again. Chapter 19. Kakashi lifted the forehead protector covering his left eye, revealing the scarlet eye inside. Sharingan. Sasuke's emotions changed drastically when he saw Kakashi's eyes. He didn't know why Kakashi had Sharingan. And it was a 3-Magatama one. Kakashi's last name was not Uchiha. Then the origin of this eye needs to be studied. Kakashi didn't have time to explain to Sasuke now, because Zabuza on the opposite side had already started to release ninjutsu. Thick fog gradually rose around. Kakashi held a kunai in each hand and was on guard nervously. Sasuke and Naruto, who returned to Dazna, also scanned the surroundings nervously. Considering Dazna behind him and the surrounding environment, this is not suitable for the use of bows and arrows. The 100 Changes armament summoned a pair of swords. The shape of the 2 swords is like wings covered with feathers. Between the black and red, there is a sharp edge. The Knowledge Treasure House, the Spirit Eye, and the Matrix Ring are activated. A triple splendid magic circle appeared in front of July. The results of 3 years of research appeared in front of everyone for the first time. The Knowledge Treasure House is similar to a computer. It can store and analyze all things that can be seen. The Spiritual Eye has a 360-degree field of view and can also zoom in. The Matrix Ring is developed to assist the Knowledge Treasure House. It can provide the terrifying computing power and speed of the photon computer in the EOS life. Of course, this triple magic circle is now simply developed and applied. It is far from the final expectation. Apart from anything else, the current Matrix Ring can provide the computing power of an ordinary computer, which is already good. Not to mention that there are advanced computers, supercomputers, and other levels above. The concentration of the fog has reached the limit, and the visibility is only a little more than 1 meter. In the fog, the voice of the weirdo Zabuza came. 8 places. Throat, spine, lungs, liver, carotid artery, clavicle, kidney, heart. Okay, which part do you want me to attack? Kakashi stood in front and suddenly burst out a burst of chakra. Slightly blew away the thick fog around several people. Don't worry, I'm here. But before he finished speaking, Zabuza had already appeared in Naruto's encirclement. Naruto and Sasuke looked at Zabuza behind them in surprise. That's hard to say. Zabuza was about to chop with his sword, but there were 2 beautifully shaped swords crossed at the neck. Uncle, the place you just mentioned is repeated in 2 places, do you need to say it twice? Who are you trying to scare? After saying that, the 2 swords crossed, and Zabuza turned into a pool of water. Sasuke and Kakashi said it was impossible, while Naruto shouted beside him that it was amazing. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Kakashi quickly found Zabuza and attacked frantically. He planned to entangle Zabuza and relieve the pressure on the 3 little ones. The surrounding thick fog also slowly dissipated because it lost the blessing of Zabuza's chakra. July switched the double swords Fenkiwawang to Haikunya and shot 4 arrows at Dazna. The arrows originally composed of chakra suddenly turned into a barrier technique. Dazna in front of them slowly disappeared in front of everyone. Uncle Dazna, now you run away and find a place to hide. We may not have time to take care of your safety. Originally, Sasuke and Naruto were watching high-end combat operations. Hearing July's words, they turned back and wanted to persuade July not to let Dazna out of their sight. But there was no trace of Dazna in their sight. The nearest tree here must be more than 10 meters away. How could that old man run so fast? 7th month, where is the uncle? Where did you hide him? I hid Dazna with my secret technique, don't worry about him for now. Kakashi seems to be dying. The 2 of them looked at the battlefield in the river in the distance. Kakashi was trapped in a water ball, showing a painful expression. Zabuza supported the water ball with one hand and made a seal with the other hand. Water clone technique. The water surface surged, and another Zabuza appeared. Kid, you cut my neck just now, didn't you? I won't be careless this time, I will cut your neck too. The water clone rushed to the shore, and the battle was about to break out. But is 7th month the kind of person who sits and waits for death? Such an obvious flaw, he thinks he is blind. Naruto and Sasuke stopped the water clone that rushed to the shore. 7th month squatted in horse stance on the spot, drawing his bow and arrow. A huge chakra arrow was formed, and the direction of the arrow was pointed. Of course it was the real body holding the water ball. The clone and the real body saw July gathering his ultimate move. Of course he was very anxious, but he couldn't move here. It was not easy to trick Kakashi into the water prison, how could he let it out so easily? The clone suddenly exploded, and both were kicked out by Zabuza. He used the instant body technique to come to July and beheaded him with a knife. But before Kakashi and the other 2 could explode in despair, 3 arrows flew quickly from the depths of the forest. Zabuza, who was maintaining the water prison, dodged the attack of the 3 arrows in a strange posture. But before it landed, one of the arrows turned into July holding a spear with a bang. The spear stabbed fiercely, aiming at Zabuza's right hand holding the water ball. Not good. He retracted his right hand reflexively, but it was too late to regret. The water ball suddenly exploded, Kakashi escaped from it. The beheaded July also exploded into a cloud of smoke at this moment. Zabuza, who was furious, wanted to kick July away with a whip kick. But Kakashi blocked the attack. 7th month, perfect tactics. Leave the rest to me. After completing the mission, 7th month, a ninja jumped back to the shore. He began to help Naruto and Sasuke deal with Zabuza's clone. As the saying goes, an inch longer, an inch stronger. Sasuke and Naruto, who were holding kunai, could not get close at all. They could only tiredly deal with the attack of the broadsword, throwing shurikens from a distance. But with the addition of 7th-month spear, the situation was instantly reversed. Your weapon is long, and mine is not bad either. Except that I am a little bit inferior in strength, I am not worse than you in physical skills. After a few rounds, 7th-month seized a flaw in the clone. A dragon's tail swung the broadsword away. Then a rain of pear blossom spears stabbed fiercely. In the end, the clone did not escape the destruction of the three people, turned into a pool of water, and returned to the embrace of the river. And the battle between Kakashi and Zabuza also came to an end. The two stood facing each other, frantically making seals with their hands. But for some reason Zabuza was stunned for a moment. Kakashi was given a chance, and Kakashi completed the seal. I'm done with Zabuza, water style, great waterfall technique. The water in the river began to surge, gathering together at once. Water can carry a boat, but it can also overturn it. The kinetic energy and potential energy carried by the rushing river water easily knocked Zabuza out. And continued to hit the forest behind. The technique ended, and the river water dissipated. Sasuke looked at the scene destroyed by the ninjutsu. Is this the power of a jonin? Kakashi resisted his fatigue and found Zabuza. He was ready to give him the final blow, and Zabuza wanted to struggle to get up. But the water style just now caused him a lot of damage, and he couldn't use his strength for a while. But before Kakashi could do anything, 1,000 bonsai pierced into Zabuza's neck. Zabuza's face suddenly became hideous, and he couldn't speak. He struggled for a while and then died. At this time, a masked man was standing on the tree to him. Chapter 20. The attention of Kakashi and the other three was attracted by the guy standing on the tree. But Nanyue didn't. She always believed in cutting the grass and rooting it out without leaving any trouble. In her Eos life, she had seen too many people who left hidden dangers. Then they were liquidated. Otherwise, she wouldn't have earned tens of millions of family fortunes at the age of 16. So she repaired the knife that Kakashi didn't repair. Bai, who was standing on the tree, saw Nanyue still charging to attack in the distance. He quickly jumped from the tree to Zabuza and explained to Kakashi. Everyone in Konoha, Zabuza is my target. I have killed him just now, so please stop attacking. So I can take the mission target back. The childish voice, plus the height. It is basically certain that this is a child who is similar to Naruto and Sasuke. Kakashi looked at Bai's outfit and believed most of it. Naruto was very unhappy because his head was robbed. Teacher Kakashi, why? Kakashi touched Naruto's head and comforted him. You have to know that there are always people who are better than you. Kakashi put down his forehead protector and covered his Sharingan again. But July's charged attack did not stop. After hearing what the masked man said, he turned his head and aimed at the masked man. July, this should be the tactical pursuit force of the Mist Ninja. Zabuza is a fugitive from the Mist Ninja village, and now he is dead. You can stop. Kakashi no longer wants to cause trouble. Now his body is not enough to support another battle. You know, Momochi Zabuza is a jonin who defected by assassinating the Mizukage. How can someone who can accept the task of hunting down Zabuza be weak? Teacher Kakashi, are you sure Zabuza is dead? Why do I find that these two people seem to be in the same group? July, whose knowledge treasure house and spiritual eyes are still open, can easily find it. Although Zabuza seemed to have stopped breathing, he was gone. But the body's reaction could not deceive people, and she saw it all clearly. The fundamental function of the Senbon was to suppress Zabuza's breathing and heart rate. Put him into a state of suspended animation. The masked man over there, your methods can deceive them, but not me. And the assassination teams of each ninja village deal with corpses in basically the same way. You only need to bring the head back to report. Why do you have to bring the whole body back? After hearing what July said, Kakashi was enlightened. He felt strange just now, but his body had reached its limit. He didn't want to cause any more trouble, so he ignored this problem. Now that July mentioned it, it seemed to be true. Kakashi wanted to lift the forehead protector again, but a feeling of dizziness came. The backlash of the Sharingan came, and he fell into a coma directly. Before losing consciousness, he thought he should be in trouble this time. Sasuke was not far from Kakashi when he saw Kakashi suddenly fall to the ground. He hurried forward to check. "Hey, Kakashi, what's wrong with you?" "Naruto, come and take care of Kakashi. The battle is not over yet." "Seventh month is right, there must be something wrong with this person." After instructing Naruto, Sasuke also changed his attack posture to the masked man. Although he did not understand the rules of the assassination team, he could only choose to trust seventh month now. This is the trust that seventh month unknowingly exchanged for strength. Seventh month's charged attack this time is not the kind of stuff in the assessment. The power carried on the arrow has the characteristics of the Black Moon. It was said before that the weapons of the 100 Changes armed contract have their own characteristics. Now the characteristic of the longbow Black Moon is armor breaking. That is to say, the penetration of the arrow is increased. This arrow went down, even Kakashi did not dare to take it head-on. The masked man saw that his identity was exposed, so he simply took off the mask on his face. Under the mask is a delicate face. In terms of beauty, she is only one level behind July. With July's current appearance, a difference of one level is quite stunning. Sasuke and Naruto look at July every day, so their aesthetic taste has certainly improved a lot. They were not surprised by this, but by the fact that this is a girl. "Everyone, my name is Bai. I am indeed not the pursuit team of Kirigakure. But you three don't seem to be my opponents, and Kakashi-san is not in a good situation now. Why don't we stop here?" Although her face looks like a woman, her voice is not. She should be a real man. Although her tone is gentle, why are her words so arrogant? Of course July will not stop here, otherwise, why did he expose them just now? Releasing the bowstring, the arrow flew in front of Bai in the blink of an eye. Bai made a seal with one hand. Ice escape, Binji and Tangwu. The wall formed by ice protected Bai. But the arrow with armor-piercing function was not so easy to block.